little spooks.
I'm Kimberly.
And I'm Lexi. Welcome to the Guarded by Demons podcast, where we discuss all things horror.
Hope you're ready because during October, we have a lot of spooky fun headed your way. Continuing our week-long countdown to Halloween is day 4, where we are discussing spooky songs with 2 special guests.
What up? I'm back. Me, Adam.
Hello. I'm Eddie, another relative of Kimberly and Adams.
Today we are going to be talking about spooky songs. So spooky songs will consist of not only songs of like Halloween that we have heard throughout our childhoods and like that we can hear now that will give us nostalgia. But like there's also, if we have like songs that are based off of like actual ghost stories or just urban legends, if there's bands or artists that have like horror incorporated into their works, whether it be by like their merch, their music itself, and if they use like scores from horror movies and stuff like that. And it's not just movies, it's also games and literature.
So excited.
Yeah.
I've been looking forward to this one for a bit, for sure. I like talking about songs quite a bit.
Spooky songs are great.
It's very nostalgic for me.
So honestly, to start this off, what classic Halloween songs come to mind?
Oh shit, you know Thriller by Michael Jackson. Classic right there. Classic fare.
My
And
question
I
to
remember,
folks, so... Oh, sorry.
I remember when I was really little, the music video scared the absolute hell out of me. It's the eyes, dude. It's the eyes.
It is the eyes.
I grew up and I really appreciated the video after such a long time. And plus, like, we would have a lot of Halloween parties here, and we had a bunch of Halloween CDs, and that was always on it, of course, with, like, songs from the Rocky Horror Picture Show, stuff like that. Always good stuff.
My question, though,
yeah,
is would Thriller be as impactful as a Halloween song without that music video?
You got me there. Probably not, honestly.
I definitely don't.
Although the song is kind of creepy.
The song itself is kind of creepy, but I don't think it would be as popular as it is without that video.
Probably not.
Yeah.
Probably not. It's still really good, though.
Another one that I can think of is Spooky Scary Skeletons.
Oh, of course. With the 7,000 iterations of it.
There's like so many of it, and I had that fucking little joke with my username from from Spooky Scary Skeletons. My username is Spooky Scary Lesbian.
We love that,
and I ripped that off of that, and it was just a Halloween joke. It was just supposed to be a Halloween joke, but it stuck, and now I'm stuck with it.
That's funny.
It suits you very well.
How long has that song been a thing? Because I don't think I heard that song till I was in undergrad.
I'm gonna look it up.
Yeah, I remember hearing that song since like elementary.
Word? Damn.
Yeah, I remember hearing that song like during the parades and stuff like that they did for elementary school.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was gonna bring up. The earliest memories I got is fucking at elementary school when we used to have the Halloween parades.
Yeah,
and I remember the main 2 songs I heard.
1996.
Damn,
it's as old as
that's
us?
old.
Yeah,
that's old.
Oh,
We're old.
Bro, I remember
old.
The 2 songs I heard like over and fucking over, and those little like Halloween parades at elementary was Monster Mash and Ghostbusters.
Yeah,
Monster Mash is a classic. I heard it.
Monster Mash is really good,
dude. I actually heard it on the radio last year around Halloween for the very first time, and I was so excited.
Dude, I have
damn.
I got like 5 years of hearing that shit for like a whole 2 hours, and at like in like the elementary school parades. That's like, it's like the only 2 songs that Thriller, Ghostbusters theme, and Monster Mash were like the 3 songs that they had on repeat over and over again throughout the entire fucking day at like in like elementary.
Yeah.
Have y'all heard the Spanish version of the Monster Mash?
No. Wait. I
actually
they played
have
it in elementary. I think they have.
Yeah, I actually have.
Yeah, I think I have heard it.
That's cool. I want to listen to that later.
I think I've only heard it recently. I believe you. They played it in elementary. I was gonna ask, like, why didn't I remember them playing it back then? Since our school was 99% fucking Latinx.
I have no idea. But like I vividly remember, but also like I have siblings who have gone to the same school and I've gone to their parades. So they play the same music every single year.
Yeah,
So
it's the same
that we
3
didn't get
fucking
Halloween
songs,
parades.
dude, every year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I actually got one. I got two actually for songs that remind me of Halloween as a kid. So, uh, one of them is Rob Zombie straight off, like right off the bat. I remember during Halloween, my uncle would be playing like Duke Nukem on the old family PC,
Oh my
and
god.
and I remember being absolutely fucking terrified as a kid because he would play in the dark and I wanted to go check out the game, but my uncle had the album Hellbilly Deluxe, and the first track off that record is an introduction that has like a little girl talking about something about the call of the zombie, da, 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 something true pain and suffering, da, 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 and it had like sound effects with like thunder and fucking like things scraping and screams and shit like that, and that scared the shit out of me as a kid. But every time I hear the intro to that record, it takes me back. And the third thing is a theme I grew up with, like my pops showing me horror movies. So a lot of those themes come into my head, and I remember a memory where when Tower Records was still a thing, I remember going with my parents to Tower Records while they go and check off CDs and shit. I grabbed a horror movie like a soundtrack collection, and I begged, not begged, I tried to convince my pops to convince my mom to get it for me because my mom wouldn't let me listen to anything horror or metal or rock related, dude. She was like, mm-mm. I ended up getting it, but I remember every Halloween, my pops would borrow that CD, throw it on to like a little DJ shit, and we would make like a haunted house. So those are the three little those are the three things that remind me of Halloween as a kid.
Oh, I love that.
I mean, you know what also like reminds you of Halloween as a kid? The Halloween theme.
Oh yeah,
Halloween?
yeah.
Of course.
Yeah.
Is it because you would watch them? Is it because they would pass out on TV every fucking Halloween, or would your parents play them?
I mean, like, you know, you guys know my mom. She fucking loves the movie Halloween, so we would always watch it when I was a kid. And that was just like a song that I knew even before I watched the movie because
Yeah.
my mom would always be the one who played it, or like Adam, your dad would be the one who played it.
Yeah, I feel you.
That
I feel you.
song, I think, encapsulates the idea that there's so much beauty in the simplicity of stuff. It's just
Yeah.
what, 6 notes?
Yep.
Around.
Six
think so.
notes, and then some synth in the background that's even less notes, and it's just fucking beautiful. And with the reboot of Halloween, I was bumping that new version of it that John Carpenter did with his son, because that shit was just kept to the beauty of it, but then added some more polished synth elements to it, and it's just, yes, that song is beautiful. And I think it was one of the first songs I learned to play on guitar, weirdly, back in 7th grade. Miss Fuller, I know Adam had Miss Fuller too.
Yeah.
She showed us how to play it for some fucking reason, and it was just like 6 notes on the guitar, 2 notes on the guitar.
You want to know something? You want to know something funny, bro? Kimberly's younger brother actually asked me to teach him that theme on guitar as one of the first songs that he wanted to try and play on it, dude. That's so funny you mentioned that.
I love Mason.
Yeah.
Beautiful
That's
and
fun.
simple. For me, when I was younger and I was like small, like maybe younger than 10 years old, horror scared the fuck out of me. Which, you know, it's supposed to do, but like I didn't enjoy it yet. I was literally reminiscing with Adam a couple days ago, like a week ago, how anytime they watched horror movies or played horror games, I would have to run out of the room.
Yeah.
I vividly remember this
That was
playing.
me too. That was me too.
I vividly
Just the
remember
sight
this
of blood
playing.
freaked me the fuck out.
I think I was good with blood, but like what scares me the most when it comes to video games and movies and stuff, it's always a paranormal shit. And the one game I vividly remember running out of the room because I could not see Adam play was that Fatal Frame.
Oh, yeah.
Dude.
That's a good one.
That shit was spooky as hell. I remember right off the fucking bat, dude. when you go into that hallway and there's like I think someone hanging from the rafters or some shit like that when you're
that
taking
shit,
that photo.
Oh my god.
That game
So-
still scares the hell out of me, dude.
God damn, yeah. So my earlier enjoyable memories of Halloween are much on the more wholesome side of Halloween. So the one Halloween song that y'all did not mention yet, because Love Thriller, Monster Mash, all that was on my list too. The one you haven't mentioned yet, the one I experienced first was the Hocus Pocus version of Spell on You.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh
But
shit.
I absolutely
That's the one.
love the original Screamin' Jay Hawkins version. Like Screamin' Jay Hawkins' energy at the end of that song where he just goes batshit fucking howling. That raw energy is just it gets me every time. That song is just beautiful, and the rendition Hocus Pocus, that just was my gateway into all this spooky music stuff.
It's so good.
I remember going over to your pad, bro, and you'd fucking show it to him and just having a ball, like hearing him go, "Ah!" Like just fucking going at it with all that energy, dude.
I have the CCR version of that song on my playlist.
To get that out early, shout out to Screamin' Jay Hawkins. Since we're talking about music, popular music in the U.S., roots all stem from black music, black people, black queer music. I'm not sure if Screamin' Jay Hawkins. I wanna say I remember some article explaining that Screamin' Jay Hawkins might have been queer, but I couldn't find any sources on that today, so I'm not gonna put that label on him. But again, U.S. music, black and queer roots.
Sick.
Oh my
That's-
goodness.
That's all I got on my end about like any sort of childhood stuff.
And I think one more for me that really does stick out, and again from the Rocky Horror Picture Show, is the Time Warp, which was super
Ooh.
fun. I remember around Halloween in elementary school, if we were in gym class, they would play like Halloween CDs while we all played games or whatever. Funny enough, never did the parachute thing that everybody else seems to have had the experience with.
Same.
Really?
Never got to do it.
I'm like, damn, I missed out on some shit. I thought I was the only person who did.
Parachute thing?
The big it's usually like not rainbow color, but
Oh, that, yeah. I remember that.
yeah, I didn't get that.
Well, the thing is, it's like, I don't remember doing it with a regular class. I only remember doing it with the special needs kids when I was in their classes. Like, that's the only time I ever remember doing that.
I remember seeing it around school too, but never got to do it.
I always see memes about it. I'm like, damn, I didn't get to do that. What the hell?
That was way too fun. I remember it. It was way too fun. Do you guys know any songs that are based off of like urban legends or like ghosts in general?
Oh hell yeah.
I got one off the top of my head. I don't think I have enough as many as you, Adam. So can I say this one first?
No, go for it, bro.
First thing that comes to mind when thinking of like songs about stories and stuff is "Alice in Hell" by Annihilator.
No shit, you're right.
Yeah, that one. You and Johnny introduced me to that song first. Johnny, our other cousin, introduced me to that song a long time ago. I thought it was dope as hell, and then y'all told me it was based on a real story of a little girl haunted by some demon possessing her doll. And then when I listened to that song again, I'm like, wait, what the fuck? This is okay. Let's scarier than I thought, but yeah, that whole album is just a trip, and I love the whole thing when bands do that. How Slayer does it with Rain and Blood, where the album is Alice in Hell, and the song is called Alice in Hell.
Aha.
Love when you do that.
Nice.
Aha. Bro, speaking of like a fucking metal, I know you know Opeth, but I don't know if you've heard their entire catalog or most of it. Their third record, right off the top of my head, what comes off is My Arms, Your Hearse. So that entire album, dude, is a concept album about this dude who dies, comes back to Earth as a ghostly mist, and like is pretty upset that his loved one isn't grieving him, right? Like he thought they would. And so fucking he starts to haunt them and become this like angry, sinister spirit. He ends up, I believe, if I remember clearly, scaring to death his loved ones. And he couldn't even bring his loved one into the beyond with him. So around 75% into the record, there's like the depression chapter and then the acceptance. And he finally moves into the light. So that whole record by My Arms, Your Hearse by Opeth is the one that comes off the top of my head. It's like melodic death metal / like black metal. But that's a pretty sick record though, lyrically and musically.
Nice. I like that. That sounds
Yeah,
cool.
definitely gotta check out Opeth more. I know they recently, the guitarist for Opeth recently did the guitars for the newest album of one of my favorite bands, Ghost.
Yeah.
I'll bring up Ghost later, but I just remembered another album right now too. And it's not so much Ghost Story, but it is my favorite type of horror is slasher horror. So
Same.
hell yeah. The other album that came to mind right now was another band I've been thinking about all day. Is Cradle of Filth.
Oh no shit. Yeah,
And
yeah, yeah.
Godspeed on the Devil's Thunder. That one tripped
Dude.
me out. That album is a concept album about Gilles de Rais, old French, I believe. French.
Yeah,
Sort of knight who helped out Joan of Arc and stuff. But you know, Joan of Arc, considered a hero. This fool, awesome, helped out hero. Then convicted and executed for being a child serial killer. So there's that.
Yeah. Yeah.
How
That shit was
fun.
crazy. It's a really good record. I do love how that album, dude. That if Kimberly and
Mhm.
Semi Pro Eagle, if you have not heard that record, it's really cool because it does have narration by I forgot who the voice actor is, but they have someone to do narration for Gilles de Rais throughout that
Ooh.
record. Yeah. So as the songs go down, it's like his life and what was going on in his head and whatnot. The booklet actually has a painted artwork for those chapters, so it's pretty sick.
Interesting.
Yeah.
It's very interesting.
Hell yeah.
The other one that comes off the top of my head is Black Sabbath by fucking Black Sabbath, dude. So that one's funny because I remember on an old interview with the bassist Butler Geezer that he borrowed an old magic tome or something like that from Ozzy, and he awoke in the middle of the night to find a black figure at the foot of his bed. And that's what I remember when they jammed out. It inspired them to write Black Sabbath, which if you heard the song, you know, it's about this dude seeing this evil looking figure with like eyes of fire and shit.
Quick correction before anybody comes for the podcast. His name is Geezer Butler, not Butler Geezer.
You're right.
Amazing.
But
Someone aggressively emails us. You got this name wrong.
Bro,
Hey.
I mean, you'd be surprised.
God.
I was
like
ta-
that.
Black Sabbath more than boomers. I'm just trying to get that.
Yo, I was talking with another cousin of ours in the morning, and he was telling me, he's like, what if he was just so like sleepy as shit that he just didn't realize it was Ozzy at the end of his bed, like, you know, just asking for his book back and shit.
Jesus Christ.
You never know. But also, yeah, shout out to fucking Black Sabbath. Like, their whole aesthetic and thing was the occult, and
Yeah,
they're considered the founding fathers of metal.
yeah,
No, their predecessors. It's kind of like a color spectrum thing. What came first, chicken or the egg? Led Zeppelin. Oh my god, it's Led Zeppelin. It's oh my god,
you're talking about the early.
Deep Purple, Zeppelin, Deep Purple, and I forgot the third band. They're considered like some of the founding fathers of metal, but they're still like covering blues and play blues a lot heavier than anybody else was. But once Black Sabbath starts putting the occult into this shit,
Yeah,
that's when officially everyone says this is heavy metal. Thanks to that occult and very dark, gloomy doom aspect of it. So they are, without that horror shit, who knows how long it would have taken for heavy metal to become its own little thing, its own culture, its own subgenre. Like, I'm sure it would have happened, but how long it would have taken, I don't know. Black Sabbath really put that last nail in the coffin, so to speak.
that's definitely what I hear a lot of people talk about when it comes to metal and horror for sure. I remember Geezer Atley, I believe it was Geezer who was quoted in an interview that he wanted it to create a vibe the same as a horror film because he would watch a lot of OG horror films.
And they fucking did it.
Another song that I know right off the top of my head because dude, Dan listens to like they listen to Insane Clown Posse like a shit ton.
Oh no.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what? Not gonna hate.
And so like They have the song "In My Room" immediately comes off the top of my head. Being that it's a song about a demonic entity that that visits a man every night that he's so enamored with that he'd do anything for and ends up murdering the neighboring family, only for that entity to never come back, and he starts going crazy.
Damn.
But there's that one. Also, Hotel California. I think it's about ghosts.
Yeah, that's a good one. I fucking love Hotel California.
Haunting.
I do not like Hotel. I can't stand Hotel California. I'm not gonna lie.
Damn.
I'm 50-50
I'm sorry.
with it. Like,
I can't.
either I will enjoy it or I will think it's the most annoying thing ever, just because like my dad will play it all the time on road trips.
Whoops.
And I'm like, no thanks.
I fucking go hard with that song when I'm really feeling it.
I know you do.
It's an absolute.
Yeah.
It's an absolute great fucking song in terms of composition wise and all that, like songwriter. I just can't stand it. There's something annoying about it for me, but it's there. It's ghostly and it's a badass constructed song. So yeah, there's that one that I remember.
Yeah. There's like 2 bands that I could think of, like ghost wise. There's Lisana with their like Annabelle trilogy albums that they have.
I knew you were gonna bring that one up.
Yeah, of course I was.
I was debating on it, dude. I was like, wait, is it a ghost, right? Or
it's a ghost for part of it. Like the first one is just the artist like going crazy and hallucinating her.
Yeah.
Hallucinating Annabelle the whole entire time. And then you figure out that like she was the one that actually killed him in the end. With the second one, it's like Annabelle going through Dante's Inferno and stuff like that. And the third one's like with time travel and shit. And I thought that was like really cool.
Sick.
Like, it's really good.
So the portion aspect. Sorry about that. Continue.
Yeah, no, you're fine.
The horror aspect definitely comes out in the first 2. I remember. I know for sure. I did the first one. I didn't get through the second or third one. But the first one for sure is spooky as hell.
Yeah, the first one, I can tell it's like based off a lot of works from like Edgar Allan Poe and Shakespeare that I can tell from it. I think it also didn't help that like at the time when I was listening to that album, I was also working on like stuff in theater back in high school that was like Edgar Allan Poe centered, and my theater teacher was making us read some of his work, so I was like putting connections together with the album while I was listening to it too.
Yes, she was. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Bro, I remember. Only reason I remember that album very well, I remember, is because I was in class listening to it and I was reading the lyrics. I brought the book to school for whatever reason that day, and I remember my friend borrowing it and he was like, "Oh, this is kind of cool." He was like a theater kid, and I remember the moment he got to where the lyrics say "baby," he's like, "Oh, never mind." He's lost all credit for me.
Oh, amazing. But I like that. I thought it was cool. And the second one that I know of is the band Mariana's Trench. They have an album called Phantoms, and that whole album is really amazing. It's so good. It's meant to basically make you feel like you're going through a haunted house.
That's pretty dope.
And the story is the story's pretty sad because it's basically this guy who's still seeing basically the ghost of his former lover. And throughout the whole entire thing is basically him trying to let go of her.
It's always a ghost. It's always a song about the ghost of a former lover.
Tragic.
Yeah.
People love tragedy and love.
I think at that point, when Josh Ramsey was like writing the whole entire thing, he was going through like a breakup and an end of like a call off for his wedding that his fiance made. So throughout that whole entire thing, it was more like of a grieving process of like losing someone, but not really losing someone. Like they're still there, but he like just has to let them go at some point.
That's sad.
Yeah, like the whole album's like really good if you like a lot of like melodies and stuff like that. That's super good, and like it kind of has like an orchestra feel.
Pretty sick
to it. It's super good. Like once you get into the story part of it throughout the whole entire thing, you can like actually start to imagine it. And honestly, like my favorite song from that album is the very last one, and it's called "The Killing Kind," and it references the Phantom of the Opera, and it has like a little nod to Stephen King's It in one line, and I think that's like really really cool.
Sick.
That's what I like. Hell yeah! So, Adam, I'm gonna let you. Huh?
Can I throw one more in?
Oh yeah.
When you brought up well, a lot of moving pieces connected in my mind. Bringing up Black Sabbath, bringing up Poe and Shakespeare. Gonna hit you with another oldie. I know y'all have an episode coming up dealing with sleep paralysis. Well,
oh no,
you know where I'm going with this. There is a piece of music, very famous piece of music, that was a result of what I believe was fucking sleep paralysis.
Damn.
There is a piece called "The Devil's Trill" by Giuseppe
Ooh.
Tartini.
Yeah, I had a feeling you were gonna bring that one up.
Yep. This composer, violinist, he had a dream. This is written about 17. I think he said he had this dream in 1713. He had a dream. Devil appeared to him, asked to be a servant and teacher. He's like, "What the fuck? Okay, let me see what you got." Gives him a violin, and he plays one of the most sophisticated pieces of music he's ever heard. I'm like a whole Devil Went Down in Georgia type of thing.
I was getting ready to say
Yeah,
Devil
dude,
Went Down
he's like, eat shit, Satan.
So he plays in his dream, and he says that it was so breathtaking, it literally took his breath away. He was having trouble breathing because of this fucking incredible piece. And when he wakes up, he tries to recreate it. He tries to write all that shit down, and what he wrote down was this piece called "The Devil's Trill." He's like, "Yep, it's nothing like what he fucking played, but it's as close as I can get to it." And
That's scary, honestly.
sleep paralysis gave us this incredible piece of music, and
I've never had sleep paralysis. I can only imagine what it's like.
Oh, it's scary as shit, dude. You don't want it.
Ah, my bad. I actually got that story fucking backwards. I thought it was him who showed the devil, like, check this shit out, and he played some sick licks on his violin. I thought, my bad, I got it backwards.
that's
Oh,
the Devil Went Down to Georgia.
There you go.
go.
Fuck.
Yep.
Got it.
That
He's okay.
that tritone, that evil, going into music theory bullshit, is that interval, that evil sounding interval, is what gave Black Sabbath that oomph, that edge, that occult sounding shit, and it's what has changed music so much, right? A lot of people have said, yeah, the tritone was outlawed by the Catholic Church. Not a lot of evidence to really back that up, but the story's gotten so popular, and fucking
Wouldn't surprise me, TBH. But
Yeah. There definitely isn't a lot of evidence to back that one up for sure. I remember reading a whole fucking thesis about that thing.
there's evidence some Gregorian chants have the tritone in it too, so I guess
Yeah.
they still did it here and there.
Yep. Let's see. Oh, my bad. Kimberly, you were gonna say something a couple minutes before?
Oh yeah. So I was gonna say, if you have any, well, mostly like Adam right now. Do you have any bands or artists that you know that have incorporated horror into their works? Again, whether it be like just their merch, their music, if they have like scores from movies.
Absolutely. There's quite a bit. I know you might know some of them, and I know that Eddie might know some of them. So right off the top of my head, let's see. So first, I want to say that like horror and music have like worked alongside each other, and each side has dipped into another over the decades. Like you have movies and literature, which influenced musicians, and musicians entering the realm of film and gaming. Right off the bat, in the realm of metal and rock, my introduction to seeing horror consisted of a lot of album covers on like older late 80s and like 90s death metal bands like Mortician, Death, Necrophagia, Cancer, and my personal favorite being Cannibal Corpse. But you also have the other non-death metal stuff like Korn with their imagery from Children of the Corn, or be it their music video that incorporated some body horror, like what's that song? Make Me Bad. You have Slipknot, Cold Chamber, Cradle of Filth, Bella Morte. I remember hearing in elementary in 5th grade. That delved into the madness of the mind type of horror kind of thing. and one single horror punk band I will say called Misfits. Uh, I want to say is Cannibal Corpse, bringing them up first. Their albums each have like a horrific album cover, right? Like it's either gore or some sort of something gross and gruesome. And every single song in their album is a gruesome fictional story within the lyrics. It's kind of cool too how their music also in their music also, what is it called? It adds emphasis to the lyrics by how do you say it, like there's this one song called Intestinal Crank where the riff is like a very circular and it sounds like it's going in circles. And so in my head I imagine someone twisting the crank and pulling someone's guts out, right, like on a chain and whatnot. You have another band like Mortician that actually introduced me to a lot of old horror films from the 70s and 80s because many of the songs have like a minute long or so sample from those old horror films. And what I would do was I would go to like Wikipedia when we finally got internet, and I remember going through song by song, and next to the song there was a link saying sample taken from X movie, right? So you know, like Suspira, Zombie. I think I'm saying it right. Suspira,
Suspiria.
Zombie. There you go. Thank you. The Black
Gotcha.
Cat. A lot of underground stuff too that I have never really seen because they're like either last on VHS or really rare like pressings on DVD, like Eaten Alive, Slaughterhouse. You have another cool band, one that I didn't really get into like horror punk, but the Misfits. I did listen to a lot of because of my uncle who was into punk and shit like that. So I remember with the Misfits, how do you say? What was I gonna get to? Okay. So with the imagery, the outfits, all linked itself to horror, right? And I remember in the early years seeing some interviews with Glenn Danzig when he was still in the band, right? And he cited like old horror literature, old horror films, and true crime on TV as his interest to like write about in those like early songs. And I remember in the old horror, actually, this is a pretty fun fact. In the old horror business record, they have a little paragraph detailing the strange noises that can be heard. And apparently, what they did was when they left the when they left the recording space to go like mix and master the record, uh, there was some weird noises coming out, and they're like, "Ah, shit, man! Like we don't have enough money to record it to re-record this." So what they did was they put a cool little paragraph inside the horror business record, and they said that um they went to a New Jersey house to record it, a haunted house in New Jersey, and these noises um were captured, and we have no idea where they came from. That's actually fucking cool, dude. I remember another band, Cradle of Filth, which is a big one that our cousin Johnny introduced us to and shit. Cradle of Filth introduced me to a more like paranormal and occult type of horror within their lyrics, almost like reading old literature, poetry, and whatnot. You know, various of their records have like a concept, like the one what Eddie brought up earlier with Godspeed on the Devil's Thunder. And I want to throw in my part where my favorite is what's it called? What's it called? Oh, it's the one with Elizabeth Bathory. I forgot the name of it, but they have a concept album in one of their earlier records where it's all about the story of Elizabeth Bathory, and they have another one, Damnation and the Day, where it's like the rise or the fall and rise of like Satan in his own little concept album. I know it by like the big old like flamey green record. That's actually one of my favorite records. There it is. Cruelty and the Beast was the name of the Elizabeth Bathory one. Damnation and the Day being the one about Lucifer.
Such good
So
albums.
hella. So those are what see let me and a lot of like the old non death metal stuff. Like I mentioned, like a lot of the new metal stuff like Korn, Slipknot, Cold Chamber, Bella Marte and whatnot. And like Mudvayne, they definitely had it wasn't most not really like monster horror or this and that, but it was more along the lines of maybe you can describe it better. Like I don't know if you know what I'm trying to say. Although it was like that very angry, angsty teenager of the 90s and early 2000s, there was still a like this. How do you say?
It was very edgy, very they used a lot more. How would you even describe 90s horror? Where it's just very sort of I want to say slapsticky, but very kind of cartoony, very
Cheesy.
cheesy, sure, yeah.
It's definitely edgy, you know, like you have like the
Like,
fucking dolls with like the stitched up mouths and shit like that, right?
I think like 90s horror is just very meta
Campy?
because they know like horror in general, so they do make fun of it in
It
their own
remind
way.
their imagery kind of gives me a vibe of like Ginger Snaps kind of shit, like
I feel
that,
that
like that overtly edgy kind of emo-y kind of like dark side kind of thing, you know, like the very brooding nature of like uh the angst that you feel as a teenager, you know.
yeah.
Whenever I think of Mudvayne, I think of that little fucking short clip you showed me where they overdub the grunt.
Uh, yeah.
That.
They I know for a fact like in the you can see it a lot in their music videos. You have like Mudvayne's I remember what's it called? What's that song that came out in Ghost Ship? I stand. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Did not remember.
I think it was I Stand is the title. I don't remember exactly, but their music video actually has them in like alien-y kind of body horror, and same thing for Korn with that music video for Wake Me. I mean for Make Me Bad. They have two actors, one of which I know comes out in Cigarette Burns, from the Masters of Horror collection, and
Ooh.
there's another actress next to him with white short hair. And it's like the music video revolves around I think Jonathan Davis having like this little fucking weird monster in his tummy, and they got to cut him out, kind of like they did in Prometheus, that with that one scene where they cut out the alien from the girl. Uh, so there's definitely that. Uh, trying to remember what else. Obviously, you know, Cold Chamber with a lot of like their gothic-y dark aesthetics and whatnot. Loco being the one music video I remember being played a lot on MTV and whatnot. You have like the creepy ice cream guy looking like Merlin Manson and whatnot. So there's that. Merchandise. Oh my god. Uh, so let's see. When it comes to merchandise, actually, yeah. Sorry, gonna take my meds real quick. Kirk,
I can hop in while you want. If you want to do
go
that.
for it. Go for it. Go for it. Go for it, bro. Go for it.
I think just to add on to some of the stuff you were saying, one of the earliest bands I can remember that again our cousin showed us, our other cousin Johnny showed us. Trail of Filth was extremely impactful to me. Danny Filth's vocals, his screams, his screeches, I still have heard maybe only one or two couple vocalists who can match it. I'm sure there's more out there. I just probably haven't heard it myself. But the aesthetics, uber goth, uber dark, uber tragic, uber all that stuff. The one album that comes to mind for me, besides Cruelty and the Beast, just fucking classic, is Midian. And Her Ghost in the Fog, my favorite Midian songs on Midian. And that song sticks out to me also because at the beginning, the intro to that song is being done by Doug Bradley, who also plays one of my absolute favorite horror movie monsters, Pinhead.
Yeah.
And that album is all based. It all takes place in this made-up world called Midian, which is from a book by Clive Barker, who wrote the book and directed the movie. Directed the movie Hellraiser and wrote the book that Hellraiser is based on. So they got Pinhead himself to be on that album. So that whole album takes place in that world of Midian from that book, Cabal.
Pretty sick.
Awesome. Oh, I love that album. And another band that always comes to mind, another early band, one of the first metal bands that these cousins introduced me to. Not scary per se, but the album cover is always like, that doesn't match up their sound. And that was always Iron Maiden.
Actually,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
No, yeah, you can definitely add them to the list, dude. I mean, fucking Killers, man. That record itself. It's got Eddie just beating someone down with an axe, bro.
Seeing Eddie on every album cover, I'm like, that looks fucking... I feel like that would... I expected them to sound like Cannibal Corpse.
I feel you.
If the albums were... If the cover was any more bloody, then I would expect it to be like a Cannibal Corpse.
It definitely takes a fucking... It definitely adds to it, though, you know? A lot of rock and metal definitely have that. Any sort of a scary or creepy imagery on their album covers You know, you got like the Number of the Beast, Killers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Two more artist bands I'll mention. Another band you mentioned way before. Artist is Rob Zombie. Now, all his shit is inspired by horror, right? Like, look at him now directing the new Monsters movie. When his big break song, I should not call this big break song, but one of his most popular songs ever is Dragula, named after the fucking car in Monsters, right?
Yeah.
But even his earlier shit, like it's always been references to horror stuff. Going back
Yeah.
specifically to White Zombie, like
Yeah.
in college, I found out what White Zombie is, right? Like they named their fucking band after one of the first zombie movies ever, the first movie to. Well, it's really whitewash what zombies are, because again, in college we were learning about zombies and I learned about the black history of zombies, how this movie was one of the first big steps to really whitewash that history and erase the blackness of zombies.
Yeah.
I don't know if y'all know about that history of zombies before it was whitewashed like that.
Yeah. I remember taking some. I remember taking what's it called? Class of music of Latin America, and I remember learning about some of their traditions and whatnot, and very fucking different as opposed to like a lot of the zombie movies that we grew up with. But yeah, I know what you're talking about, bro.
Yeah, I try to sum it up very quickly, but voodoo, santeria, all that stuff, they're called evil by Christians because Christians call anything that isn't fucking Christian evil.
Yeah, pretty much.
And they're spiritual practices. I don't know if I should call them religions, but they're spiritual practices. Some people might treat them as religions that came from Africa and Western Africa.
Yeah.
And voodoo, there is a practice in voodoo where using herbs, using these rituals, it's kind of like mind control, more or less. Not necessarily a dead corpse reanimated. It's more like kind of mind control. Someone's left like a vegetable, mindless, just following orders. And 1920 whatever, right? Bela Lugosi, they released the film White Zombie, and they literally call it that to draw that line that this does not have to do with that voodoo Caribbean stuff. It's not black people. It's not black zombies. This is a white zombie. And that was really the first step in whitewashing what zombies are. And you know, the big switch where people kind of forget everything is with Romero and Night of the Living Dead, where now we have this idea of the undead zombie.
Yeah.
And that's not saying Romero is single-handedly behind all this or did all that purposefully, but that was the real big switch, right? Because Night of the Living Dead has its own fucking political commentary in it too. So it's not throwing all that shade to fucking Romero, but that movie played a big part in that whitewashing of it. But yeah, like fucking White Zombie just painted itself with horror stuff and horror references.
I definitely want to add I think for sure Romero's Night of the Living Dead was actually the first zombie film where they start eating flesh and whatnot.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, what's up, man? Go for
it. The second thing I was gonna say, to kind of bring this back to tying in music with movies again, the other fucking band I love and going into merch is the Black Dahlia Murder, right? They're like one of the few bands, one of the bands y'all showed me that I loved and listened to on my own. And although the lyrics were sometimes referencing gore and shit, no, their albums weren't covered in gore, like Cannibal Corpse and shit, but the fucking merch, and we were talking about this a couple days ago, Adam and I. There was one shirt that I loved, and I'm looking for it again online. I think I found it, but it's a huge reference to The Thing. It's McGreevy standing in the middle, and all these like weird,
like a mass of
monsters all around.
Yeah, I remember that, bro. You'd be surprised. You actually might be interested. So one of the bands that I grew up with a lot was Aborted, and with Aborted, they what they've done a lot recently is release a lot of like horror with their horror based merchandise, like through shirts and whatnot. Like I remember I bought some sweats from them, and the side is just a big gross fleshy amalgamation of like people and whatnot based off The Thing. They have like a shirt where it has I think it's what is it called? It's like a Mario Kart, but with slashers. So in the front of the shirt, you actually see a bunch of like the slashers and like little go-karts like fucking each other up. God, I know there's another band called Angel Maker that has a shirt release, I think within the last year or so, last 2 years or so, that has it's based on I Know What You Did Last Summer. God, more merchandise. Kirk Hammett, dude from Metallica, actually has various guitars with classic horror movie monsters on them. What else? What else? You have horror and metal. Let me see. I think the band Dokken that came out in like I think Dream Warriors. I don't quote me, but I think it was Dream Warriors where they played for that.
Nothing scarier than hair metal.
Actually, more shit like that. The last mask by fucking Corey Taylor was actually it was helped design. It was helped on by Tom Savini himself.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Oh, shit. That's
Yeah. The white one with the little black eye. I believe it's that one. Or no, it's a translucent one, I remember. Yeah. God. What else? So
Oh.
you have a lot. What's up?
Sorry, I was gonna say, two genres I could think of right now. I don't know if it's cool to jump over and just talk about genres in general.
Yeah. It's just genres in general. Like if it includes horror in it, talk about it.
All right, so the two I'm thinking of right now, the one I know a little bit less of, fucking psychobilly. Like,
oh, I know nothing about it, but like I know of it.
So
you know,
rockabilly's a big thing for especially in like Chicano culture. Rockabilly's a huge thing, and part of it is just this idea of going against the grain, discriminated against, used to that shit. We're gonna embrace this just otherness, and also just the pride in the movement from back then. For oh my god, what am I saying? Pride in the movement, all that style back then, pachucos, all that shit. But in addition to rockabilly, there's that psychobilly subgenre of it, where it's all that stuff, but plus the horror, the adoration for early Universal monsters, right? They love Frankenstein, love Dracula, all that shit.
Yeah.
And it's fascinating to me. I don't know where to start with it. It's just fascinating. It's not something I was ever to get super into myself. There's some tracks that I absolutely love, right? Like first bands that come to mind is like Necromantics, Horror Pops, Coffin Cats, all these folks. But it's always been very interesting, and I know necrophilia is a thing. Something pops up in death metal shit too, but I know it's a really common thing in psychobilly too.
I would not have guessed that in that, to be honest.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. Definitely blending the 50s with horror.
Dude, speaking of 50s and like doo-woppy horror, what's that band that you recently showed me? I think.
Oh yes.
That one.
Another band I absolutely fucking adore right now, and shout out to Johnny and Tanya for introducing me to them. There's this awesome band out right now called Twin Temple. Y'all have heard of them, Kimberly, Lexi?
Nope.
Twin Temple is a doo-wop soul oldies group, a duo, but they are satanic. All their songs are about Satan, are about Satanism, and about the hypocrisy in Christianity and all this shit, right? Like their songs, some of the little what do you call them? Breaks where they just talk. They bring up women's reproductive rights. They bring up the hypocrisy in Christian patriarchy and that stuff. It's clearly very political in it, but it's also just really good old school doo-wop music. But it's all geared towards Satanism. It's very fun, very awesome, and I didn't lump them in psychobilly because rockabilly is really its own thing. It's like it's a mixture of folk, sort of bluesy stuff. Like rockabilly comes to a mixture of hillbilly with rock. So rockabilly, it's really its own thing. But Twin Temple, so fucking dope. Definitely check out Twin Temple.
Dude, taking a left turn. My pops actually told me one time because so yesterday my pops was watching a horror movie with me when he visited, and so he was telling me, did you ever see that like rap song with like Nightmare on Elm Street? And I'm like, what are you talking about, bro? So I looked it up. So he showed me that like in 1988, DJ Jazzy Jeff and Will Smith came out with a fucking rap song, dude, about Nightmare on Elm Street called a Nightmare on My Street.
Yep.
And I was being tripped out watching it. I'm like, damn, I was way too little to know anything about this. But that shit was great, dude.
Yeah. That
I think
song is a hit, dude.
I love that.
Dude, the shit that caught me off guard, I remember that made me bust my shit laughing was when he called him, I think he fucking referred to Freddy as like a burnt weenie or some shit like that.
Jesus.
Yeah, dude, that shit was hilarious. Like, I think he's like, oh my god, dude. Like, I love the fact that the way he like talks to fucking Freddy in the what's it called in the music video and shit kind of reminds me of someone like for lack of a better word, I guess. I mean, I don't know how to describe it. Like a fucking like one of us would fucking talk. You know what I mean? Like a fucking ghetto people like talk to like a fucking to like a monster or like a slasher or whatnot in like a comedic way.
Yeah, just very playful fucking song.
That shit was funny though. Also, going on to like hip hop and horror. There's there's Tales from the Hood.
Oh yeah, Tales
Yeah.
from the Hood.
And the track that comes to mind is Born to Die by Spice One, you know, being about a psychopath and whatnot. Yeah. But there's that one. And in pop music, you already mentioned what Michael Jackson with Thriller. And actually, Phantasm, the horror movie, does apparently, my pops told me too, that shit does have a disco version of it. So I thought that was pretty
Jesus.
hilarious.
Oh my
Yeah.
God.
She was hilarious. And I remember because my pops would play that shit at night and on Halloween, and he would play it on his DJ system, and people would just pass by and like get candies and whatnot. But there's that.
Oh man, all right, I'm gonna get to the music one in a sec, but the other genre I wanted to mention is black metal.
Yeah.
God damn, black metal's a trip. Black metal is insanely edgy in that it really wants to be. Oh my god, what's the word I'm looking for?
What, like dark, brooding, misanthropic?
Definitely misanthropic. It's definitely misanthropic, but it's really giving a big middle finger to societal norms and specifically Christian norms, right? One of the two so the two biggest details that stand out to black metal for me is its inherent anti-Christian sentiment, because just like Christians colonized the Western hemisphere over here and vilified anything that wasn't Christian, it did the same thing out there in Eastern Europe and Northern Europe, right? So all those Celtic cultures, all those pagan, well, now they're all lumped into pagan, but all those pre-Christian cultures were wiped out, and all these folks trying to reconnect with that shit and say fuck Christianity, right? Which is where some of that church burning shit comes from.
You also do definitely have like some black metal bands, the stepping away from like the from the religious aspect, a very like a subculture of like, I mean, a subgenre of like black metal where it's like it's all like based on depression and like brooding, more along the lines of nature and depression and spirituality and whatnot. And I think there's a band, Zaster comes to mind with that. Streborg comes to mind with that for sure.
You remind me of one of the most biggest names in black metal, right? It's Behemoth, and the early shit was very satanic, but yeah, like what you're saying, I know a lot of the recent stuff has been moving away from Satan specifically and going into more general spiritualistic and
Paranormal kind of things.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But the scariest thing in black metal to me is the rampant white supremacy.
That is true.
Yeah, that's a big thing with black metal.
That's always a fucking I remember that. There's oh god, that's a whole last chapter within itself, dude.
That's a whole other thing. That's a whole other thing.
Very few things scarier than white supremacy.
Yep.
But going to music soundtracks again, I'll finally bring up my one of my favorite bands in the world and one of my latest hyperfixations again. I'm getting over some recent trauma about talking about them. So there's a band I love, and one of their songs was recently used as the end credit song for Halloween Kills, the sequel to the latest Halloween. The band is called Ghost. I fucking love Ghost. Ghost is one of the biggest bands ever right now, but they get a shit ton of hate. And I went to Horror Nights several years ago wearing my Ghost hoodie, and it was on a Throwback Thursday night. So there was the puppet Chucky standing by the entrance, just roasting people as they walked in.
Oh my god.
Yeah, and I was not unnoticed.
Oh.
who straight calls on me. He's like, he's mocking me. He's like, "Oh, look, babe, looking all badass with my ghost shirt." And as we keep walking, he says something that I have never forgotten. I will never forget. As I'm walking away, he's just like, "Go listen to some real metal," and I just hung my head in shame the rest of the night.
Oh no!
Hey, no.
Ghost gets a lot of hate. Ghost gets a lot of hate. I fucking love Ghost. I did not like them until I saw them live, mind you. I was on that train, listened to them a couple months before the show, didn't vibe with it, saw them live, and now I'm part of the fucking clergy. I fucking love Ghost. And their whole aesthetic, their whole thing is just horror, specifically Satanism and horror. Right, their first album was very much doom-centric. It was very slow, very low. There's a song about Elizabeth Bathory. There's a song about praying to summon Satan. And what also hooked me in with Ghost is they have their own lore. Kind of like Gorillaz. They have their characters and their lore.
Actually, didn't know that.
Yeah, so just like Gorillaz has their lore that changes with every album,
yeah,
Ghost has their lore too. And they release lore videos on YouTube, just like Gorillaz and all this shit. The first album is all about summoning the birth of the new Antichrist, right? And then the vocalist, the front man for the band, is Papa Emeritus I. Second album is about the birth of the Antichrist, actually coming into the world and evil spreading across the world. And during one of the concerts at the end of that first tour, Papa Emeritus I is kidnapped off stage, and out rises Papa Emeritus II, who is now the front man for the band for the second album. The third album, Meliora, is about the Antichrist now becoming sort of the leader of the world type of thing. Or, I forgot. It's continuing the story of this said Antichrist. And also, during the end of the tour cycle for the second album, that frontman is taken off stage and replaced with Papa Emeritus III, who is now the frontman for the band. And then
that's a lot of lore.
Yeah, dude,
it continues.
The fourth album, the previous Papa kidnapped off stage again, and now we have a new frontman, Cardinal Copia, for the fourth album. And the fourth album is all about the Black Plague. It's fucking beautiful how it sort of parallels Christianity with the Black Plague, right? With the song Rats, specifically saying, sort of paralleling rats spreading the plague with Christian missionaries spreading Christianity. Beautiful album. And there's some legal troubles, so I think that's why they didn't have Papa for this album. There's some legal troubles behind the band and all this shit. And after that album, live on stage, Papa Zero, the grandfather of all these people, was murdered on stage, and Cardinal Copia becomes the newest Papa, who is currently the frontman of the band still. And this new album is all about the rise and fall of fascist empires, which was fucking... The last album, the tour cycle ended right before the pandemic fucking hit. So everyone's like, whoa... Fucking album about the Black Plague, tour ends, and the world's now shut down. What the fuck? And this album about fascism comes out when all these current politicians are in power around the world. So everyone's like,
That's
are
too
you?
much of a coincidence.
Whoops!
Albums had to do with Antichrist being born and taking over. So it's just like, have y'all been? What the fuck have y'all? Yeah. But I fucking love Ghost. Their albums have also sort of been a journey through metal too. But the first albums are very, again, slow, doom-centric. It gets a little more upbeat, a little more pop-oriented, more like Dio. I hear a lot of Dio influence in like the fourth album. But wait, fourth album? Yeah, fourth album. And then this last album, I was showing Adam some songs, right? It's heavily fucking hair metal inspired. You can hear the Bon Jovi, you can hear the Def Leppard, you can hear the fucking Iron Maiden in this shit. It's a journey through metal and a journey through fucking all these sort of horror tropes, horror aspects of Satanism, right? Satanism fucking intrigues me so much. Yeah, Ghost. I fucking love Ghost.
You heard it here. Ghost #1 fan.
I wouldn't say #1, but I have been
up
to
there.
Many shows.
I think Loki can beat you on that, honestly.
And I bet. So on the side note, there's this thing that fucking Dan showed me where you can go to the Spotify fucking website and see if you're like a top listener or something on an artist. Maybe you could see if you or Loki are on that list as like one of their top listeners.
I'm probably am, dude. Like I I play Ghost a lot. My partner, sorry Asia, has to listen to them a lot because of me.
Dude, I was gonna say. Oh, I know. Side note. Speaking of musicians and horror, while we're still here, I actually wanted to dip into a little segment of musicians in movies. So we already seen how like movies and literature inspired a lot of artists, but how musicians dipped into films is a whole different thing within itself. That's pretty cool. If it's cool, if I can give a few examples.
Yeah.
See, so like we have, for what right off the bat, one that comes off my head is Bones with Snoop Dogg in it. Right, you got Studio 666 with Dave Grohl and Foo Fighters. You got Strangeland with Dee Snider. That movie's a trip. I like that one a lot.
Oh, I forgot about that one.
Yeah, right. Yeah, right. That shit was a deep cut, bro. You got Trick or Treat with Ozzy and Gene Simmons in it. You have Ghosts of Mars with Ice Cube in it. I remember that like vaguely from fucking renting it from like Blockbuster years ago as a kid. Saw 3D with Chester Bennington, who I did not really realize it was Chester until like years later. And then Halloween Resurrections with Busta Rhymes in it, and LL Cool J appears in Halloween H2O. You have John Carpenter saying that he ripped off the group Goblin. I remember that's another one. You have my bad, totally forgot. So this next part I was gonna put what is it called? Artists that have come out in movies at the end or in soundtracks and whatnot. Like you got John Carpenter saying that he ripped off the group Goblin to create a lot of his music. You have Marilyn Manson, Sweet Dreams, and House on Haunted Hill. You got Deftones, Change in the House of Flies, and Queen of the Damned, right? You got Mudvayne's I Stand and Ghost Ship. You have Metallica's music video for One, which was based off a book and the movie Johnny Got His Gun. And One is interesting because it's body horror, which I learned that during that time frame, The Fly and The Reanimator, movies like that come out, which are also body horror. So I'm like, oh shit, I didn't even know there was a connection there. Obviously Rob Zombie making his own movies, and then you have one that our cousin also totally fucking. This was like a deep cut in like the recesses of my brain, dudes. It was Behind the Blue Eyes, covered by Limp Bizkit for Gothica. And I remember because I barely seen Gothica like once as a kid.
Oh my god, Gothica! I love that movie.
Dude, I totally forgot about it up until like Bruno started singing that song. I'm like, what is that? He's like, bro, that's from that's Behind Blue Eyes, covered by Limp Bizkit. I'm like, what? I don't remember that. But then again, I only seen that movie once. Do you guys remember any other films with like artists and whatnot?
I know Meatloaf was in Rocky Horror Picture Show for a brief time before being killed by Frankenfurter by Tim Curry.
And oh my god, I forgot where I learned the controversy from. But there was some controversy with that one apparently, in regards to the casting of, not necessarily casting of Meatloaf specifically, but according to what I had heard, the controversy was more that cis man in general was being cast for Eddie. That originally
I forgot his name was Eddie.
Originally Eddie wasn't played by a man. Eddie was a lesbian. But then for the movie and stuff, I'm not sure if in the original play. I know in the movie there was controversy over Eddie being cast by a man. Not controversy not over Meatloaf specifically, but just men in general, cis men in general.
Lame. Okay, lame.
What the fuck?
It would have been. I would have actually loved to see how that would have affected the writing actually and the acting between the characters. To be honest,
I think it would have been interesting.
I've only seen that movie like once years ago, but
Seen it a couple times.
They
showed
not
it
aged greatly
here at a movie theater called the Grandin Theater for Halloween every year.
I took Asia to go see it one time, and we did not know it was one of those events where everyone knows what's happening already, and there's chants throwing shit. It was one of those things. We're just there like, what the fuck is happening right now?
Oh my god!
And it was the first time Asia was seeing Rocky Horror.
But that was a hell of a time.
That's fucking great, dude.
It has not aged greatly though, but
Yeah.
it's a classic. It's a classic.
It's still a very fun movie. It's very fun. Tim Curry can get it.
That's all I got for musicians in movies. Actually, I'm sure there's way more, but I can't fucking I can't think of any other musicians that come out in like movies and whatnot, like horror movies specifically.
I mean,
I stepped away for a sec, so I kind of missed a lot of the ones you mentioned.
the one that comes to mind, like the very last one that comes to mind is fucking Slipknot having a song in the Resident Evil movie.
You're right. Oh, how could I forget that
Damn.
one? That was like the one song I used to jam to like crazy. My Plague. Yeah, yeah. Damn, I can't believe I forgot that one, bro.
Yeah, that's the one that I think of.
Oh, fucking Killswitch Engage comes out in the second film actually. End of Heartache. That's the end credit song for Resident Evil. Is it Apocalypse? No, it's not Apocalypse. It's the second film. I think it's called Apocalypse. Some shit.
Yes,
Oh my
Apocalypse.
god.
There you go.
I just remembered something I was mentioned earlier. Speaking of metal in movies, not specifically a horror movie, but mentioning earlier the whole what's his name? Tartini, the dude the Devil's Trill guy who dreamt that shit.
Yeah.
Very much reminds me of Tenacious D's tribute, right? They heard played the most incredible song in the world, and when trying to record it, they're like, "This isn't it because we can't do it again." But the tribute to it, that led me thinking back to Dio and just Dio's whole aesthetic, and including monsters and knights and dragons into his stuff. Like that Holy Diver, that fucking album's incredible, and the cover always fucking. I love the cover so much with that big devil monster just reaching out into the foreground of the album.
Dude, I totally forgot. Big name here. Speaking of we can't believe that we brought up like artists like Ghost and deal with like theatrics. Dude, fucking Alice Cooper.
Ooh.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Huge with like horror theatrics.
Who else can decapitate themselves on fucking stage like that?
There's them. Let's see.
I mean,
know
isn't
that,
there also Slash?
Yeah, Slash is into horror, but I don't recall how he fits into the horror thing specifically.
The only thing that I know is that he composed some music for Halloween Horror Nights.
I think you're right about that. Yeah, you're right.
That was for an album release, right? When they had a maze surrounded based on his album.
Yes, there was that, but then also he's done it for like the past like 4 years. Like last year when I went, I found out he did the song for when you walk out of the Bride of Frankenstein and you have that little like alleyway thing. So he did the music for that. And Adam, like your dad really loved that the song that was playing, and I told him who did it, and he was like trying to look for it. We both try to look for it, but we can't find it anywhere online.
Fucking, I was gonna say, speaking of horror, one thing we didn't touch on a lot was video games. Dude, didn't you just tell me that there's gonna be a fucking video game with like death with like metal vocalists and shit?
Yes, I saw a TikTok recently, and the game's not released yet, and I will look for the name of that as I speak. But I saw a TikTok where some people are developing as they called it, a Souls-like game, which is not great for me because I fucking suck at Souls-like games. But
it's always a Souls-like game.
it's a Souls-like game. You play an anthropomorphic cat, and a lot of the monsters in it are voiced by current metal vocalists, including including what's his face from
Will Ramos.
Yeah, Will Ramos from
Lorna Shore.
Lorna Shore.
Yeah.
Where are the bands I mentioned? I forgot where the bands I mentioned. That game is called Kristalla, Kristala, and they have their TikTok page where they're putting out updates for the game.
I remember you're gonna have.
I'll put it in like the description for this, mostly for like the YouTube, and I'll put it in for Spotify too. So if anybody wants to check that out, they can check out their TikTok.
The musicians and movies. Yeah, that's all I got for musicians and movies.
I'm having trouble thinking of any, especially since hear all the ones you mentioned.
There's like, shit, man. I think we went through like a good portion. There's a lot to talk about, to be honest, and I was like so scared that we weren't gonna have like enough time, but it seems like we hit a mark pretty well. We're like 45 minutes in, so it's actually it's going very smoothly. Hella way more smooth than I thought. But I know for sure. Oh, speaking of music and whatnot, like it always leads back to metal. When it comes to what is it called? A lot of like mid to late 90s slam and death metal obviously have a lot to do with with horror with their lyrics and their artwork. It consists of like what is it called? Either consists of give me a oh there it is. Yeah, I remember now. Death, occult, true crime, Lovecraftian, cosmic horror, science fiction, and whatnot. Like for fuck's sake, I remember the band Rings of Saturn have shirts with like Predator, with the xenomorphs. They have a Dead Space shirt. A lot of bands incorporated horror movies or horror based things on their shirt. Absolutely. So you asked that question about that. Death metal is littered with like horror movie and horror video game like references.
Yeah.
There's actually a band in I can't believe I forgot about this. There's a band called Fulci, I'm sorry. Whose music and art and merch is all literally based on Lucio Fulci's films. Like they literally named themselves after the last name of the director.
There's a lot of foreign, more European stuff that I just need to look into more, because I know there's so many doom bands that really have perfected that occult feeling and stuff. Comes to mind right now is Candlemass, only because Ghost has worked with Candlemass, but doomy stuff has always been very interesting. How slow, and sometimes it can be very slow, sometimes it can be very fast, but it still stays in this very low, ominous sort of drone. Like I'm thinking of like Dimmu Borgir right now too, and they're very, very dark aesthetics.
Yeah. I remember there was a question that Kimberly wanted to ask, where like why we love the artists, that are listed as horror, that we listed as
that
horror.
can wait in a bit.
Oh, for sure, go for it.
Yeah.
Oh, if we're not getting to that yet, I just made a random connection. I guess connecting right now with movie soundtrack stuff and heavy metal. There's one person who released an album recently that I have never associated with metal, but their newest album is pretty fucking heavy and kind of cool, and wrote and sang the soundtrack for one of the most influential horror movies ever.
What up? Who is
Danny Elfman?
Oh, no shit.
His newest album was surprisingly heavy. Yeah.
Nice.
I gotta check this shit out. What?
Yeah, and of course, going back to that first question, childhood horror stuff. Like, there's that whole debate between is Nightmare Before Christmas a Halloween or Christmas movie?
I consider it both.
always been Halloween side. Always been Halloween side.
I don't know why.
Both, but I can see it being more Halloween with the imagery.
I don't think anything can convince me that it's anything else but a Halloween movie. That's just me. That's just me.
That's true, though. That's fair.
But, oh man, because fuck, now I'm questioning myself. I'm debating with myself now.
Are we gonna have this debate right now?
Because like, if my argument is that the scary stuff and the anti-Halloween stuff makes it, I'm sorry, the scary and anti-Christmas stuff makes it any less Christmassy, then does that make Christmas horror movies less Christmassy, like Santa Slays or some shit?
Oh, now you're fucking me up here, dude. God damn it! Like Jack Frost. And
The thing is, like, I don't consider it a Halloween movie or a Christmas movie. It's more of like a horror holiday movie, or like a scary holiday movie, because it combines like two different holidays in one movie.
But the feeling you get inside, though, what does it side
the
with?
feeling you get inside is more spooky than anything. But if you're taking like the context of it, it has like two different main holidays that they're covering in the movie. So I do consider it like a horror holiday.
I think the feeling you get inside depends on what you're eating, food. Is it Halloween candy?
Yeah,
or
that's
is it Christmas tamales?
Christmas. I'm trying. You know what? Just for that, we're gonna make fucking Halloween tamales this time around, bro.
Make them pumpkin.
It's gonna feel so weird, but fuck it. I guess we're doing it this year.
It's not weird because my mom would make us tamales in like summer, so That
Oh,
sounds
dude,
good.
I can't imagine how hot the kitchen used to get.
Yeah,
Fuck
that was hot as
that, dude.
hell.
Hell nah. I mean, is it good in the end? Fuck it. I mean, you have a big old plate of tamales all bomb, but she's
It's
gonna be
worth
hot as hell.
I can't wait to make you a pumpkin pie this year, Kimberly.
Hell yeah.
Excited.
But going back to
Centering more on soundtrack. I know we're talking about metal and horror, but I think just horror soundtracks in general,
Oh, dude.
like what I mentioned at the beginning, right? The simplicity is the beauty of it.
yeah.
Thinking of Hitchcock, even though he was a terrible person and pretty abusive, well, very abusive. The simplicity of the music in that shit, right? Violin themselves just can cause such intense, disheartening feeling with either the shriekiness of it or the just low drone.
Ooh, shit, dude. I was literally playing. I've been playing Dead Space a lot, and one of my favorite composers, which I forgot his name, totally whacked because he's like one of my favorite composers. Hold on, real quick. Let me get it. Jason Graves. So Jason Graves, dude. Uh, I absolutely love the fact of I absolutely love how detailed Jason Graves is, and I appreciate how detailed it is when he composes music for a very specific scenario in the game, and how to manipulate the dynamics, the speed of it, and just the dissonance and the consonance of it all to really immerse you into that scenario in Dead Space, and or like fucking who else? I've been also playing Silent Hill 3 and 2, and oh my god, like have you played Silent Hill games before?
Parts and watch stuff because again, when younger, horror was not my shit, and horror games I am not great at.
I guarantee you, and even now, play Silent Hill 2, 3, or 4, and it'll spook the shit out of you. Specifically 2 or 3, it'll spook the hell out of you. Absolutely.
I bet. And going back, I guess not going metal and soundtracks. The game that comes to mind with metal and soundtrack, not necessarily scary, but it does generate really intense feelings of like adrenaline in you. It's the fucking Doom soundtrack, especially the new ones. Fucking
Yeah.
that Doom Eternal soundtrack. Oh my god, that pumps you the hell up. And I know Doom isn't necessarily a scary game anymore, but the stress it invokes in you is very similar to me, like as with the stress I get when watching a thriller horror movie or like a slasher horror movie. It's those same aesthetics. It's blood, it's gore, it's intense, stress-inducing music, and it's just fucking incredible metal. They had a bunch of metal vocalists for that too.
Yeah. Did you ever see the behind the scenes behind that?
I did.
That dude, oh man, that shit was awesome. Oh my god. Akira Yamaoka is the composer for Silent Hill, for most of the music for that series. And I love how much of a mixture Akira does with the Silent Hill soundtracks. Like, he'll actually combine like rock. Like, I think the first track off of the Silent Hill soundtracks is like a rock song that comes out at the end of the game. So you have like a rock track, you'll have like some more atmospheric, very how do you say, atmospheric jams, and then you'll have some that are more extremely unsettling, like noisy kind of shit. And it's a mixture. I really do love the Silent Hill soundtracks because they really, really capture the terrifying scenarios that you have to go through in that game. He's one of my favorite composers. Also, Eternal Darkness, that old game from. Do you remember me playing that game on the GameCube?
Nope.
I do.
Okay, yeah, Kimberly. So you remember when and it's like it's a fucking fantastic 2002, I think it's 2002 cosmic horror game. And do you remember when you would go crazy and
That shit scared the hell out of me watching you play because of that.
Yeah, the fucking camera would literally tilt to the side and it would start to shake, and the music would be this weird combination of like of fucking Oh god, I can't even describe it. It just sounds like fucking madness captured through a microphone with cries and screams and like atmospheric wavy kind of sounds, echoing voices, sudden dynamic shifts in volume and unsettling dissonant sounds. Just fucking madness captured in the microphone, dude, when you're playing. And basically in the game, as you have like a meter for sanity, because the more you witness a lot of these monsters, the more you start freaking out and getting anxious and flipping the hell out. So as your sanity meter drains, the camera tilts and it starts playing crazy, dissonant, fucked up music to match that. And the game fucks with you, like audibly, which is I love how that composer. I never knew the name of the composer. I might look it up for sure. I'll look it up for sure. But oh god, I love that soundtrack for sure. And what we were talking about last week, Harry Manfredini uses music to let the audience know that the killer is present, like he did throughout all of Friday the 13th, the first film.
That shit is brilliant. Like when composers can do that and just tell the story through music, it's fucking something I was disappointed I could never do. And had I stayed with music as intensely as back in the day, maybe. But just thinking of The Devil's Trill, thinking of Danse Macabre, right, by Saint Camille Saint. Oh my god, I heard how to pronounce his name properly today. But Danse Macabre and these pieces, no lyrics, but they tell their stories musically. Like that shit is incredible. And seeing how that people saying classical music's dead, we're telling stories through movies, through the background, right? A lot of these sound when composers can tell those stories without the visuals themselves, and they're telling the story with music, that is fucking beautiful to me.
Yeah, that's something I wanted to bring up. How musicians and composers are able to take a visual art and transform it into a new sonic experience when it comes to specifically, like, dude, once again, I'll bring up Cannibal Corpse. I can just like you're fucking bringing up Ghost. For me, it's like Cannibal Corpse, bro. They can compose songs, and I know you've heard this before, dude, where in their songs they have musical elements like the instrumentation and vocal emphasis that mimic the action in the lyrics. Like I remember in you've heard the song what's it called? Pit of Zombies?
Yeah.
So in part of the song, the main character is suspended over zombies, and I believe as zombies are reaching up and rendering his calves with their sharp claws, the lyric goes, "I scream in frantic," and he yells out pain to emphasize that, and the song gets more chaotic as it travels down. I already told you about intestinal crank, or dude, skin to liquid. I know you know that song, right? Mm-hmm. That instrumental song. It's very sludgy. It's very slow. It's very disgusting and out there, and it reminds you of just your skin sloughing off. It's so gross. It's so sick. There's that. I do love that Alex Webster puts a lot of emphasis when he writes lyrics. He puts a lot of emphasis into the artistic aspect of it, into the very creative and artistic aspect of it, of how can they tell this gruesome story in one badass sonic experience by almost making it feel 4D or 3D, if that maybe 3D, my bad, I should say, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think on a different level, but when thinking of death metal, the other band that comes to mind for me, or visually very similar to Cannibal, I think thematically it's a big difference. Whereas Cannibal's having their own sort of fantastical fun, right? Like, here's this body being torn to pieces by this toothpick or some shit, just for the fuck of it.
Yeah.
The other band that comes to mind that sort of gives me an existential dread is Cow Decapitation.
I knew you were gonna bring that up. That's exactly what I was thinking. Oh my fucking god, dude! They also add they have that one song. I think what was it called? It's from the Inhuman Monolith. It's a living, defecating, breathing piece of meat or some shit like that.
Yes.
Yeah, and in that one, you know exactly what I'm talking about. There's a section in that where it's talking as that like lump of human flesh, right? And he's making this like these weird fucking sounds, dude, as like this grotesque bag of flesh. And in that one lyric where it says, "And my I think like the polyps erupt," and it's just like a fountain of disgusting vocal technique, dude.
Oh my god! Like I've never felt no other metal band like seeing live metal bands. None of them have given me such fright as when hearing Travis do his vocals live. Like even I recently heard Corpse Grinder. His vocals are fucking brutal and as awesome as they are recorded. But fuck, hearing Travis's vocals in person sound exactly like they do on the albums terrified me.
And dude, that's I definitely want to bring that topic of death metal vocalists, because each death metal vocalist I believe has his or has their very specific flavor, and when they add a little bit of extra detail to the lyrics and the vocal technique they do, it's that much extra. Like I know you brought up Cattle, one of my favorite bands as well, dude, and they bring you just like exactly like you said that while a lot of other bands bring like horror and gore and this and that, you mentioned existential dread, that their songs exactly hit a different sort of horror.
Did you say that's Cattle too, or were you gonna name a new band?
No. That's basically it. I just wanted to
Oh,
also
yeah.
talk about Cattle, dude. I fucking gush about it. But no, absolutely.
I
Uh,
recently went. Fuck, I forgot where I was at, but I saw Anthropocene written somewhere because it was an exhibit and it made me think of Anthropocene Extinction, Cattle's album, and just all their stuff about humans destroying the world. Like it's very existential, very
that one
terrifying.
yeah. That one specifically, I think, deals a little bit more with like sea life. I know in the Prophets
Mhm.
of Lost they do talk about the 5 types of sea life as if they were prophets or something like that. Kind of like
Mhm.
unnecessary martyrs or something like that, if I remember, as I was trying to dissect it or decipher it, I guess.
Yeah, and there's very few things. I keep saying very few things, but you know, climate change is one of the most terrifying things out there right now.
Yeah. Oh, I know there's a lot of metal bands that talk about that. I know Deeds of Flesh did Reduced to Ashes is also one of that. Fucking Creator, when what's this? Oh, I can't remember. Come on. Dun 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 dun. That sounds like a totally different fucking song.
Weird.
When the sun burns red. There you go. That's also, well, yeah, when the sun burns red is also an unfortunate to climate change and how the earth is kind of dying. So there's that one too.
I love how you guys just have all this stuff to say, and then our stuff is like really different.
No, by all means, like, dude, chime in by all means.
Like our stuff is just like super different.
But I think that's super cool though. It kind of gives you like it gives you a different viewpoint from all around the table as opposed to just one fucking thing, Because I know
Oh
like
yeah.
we can go we can go days talking about metal and horror, but it's kind of cool how you can bring in pop music, you bring in horror. I mean,
Oh,
pop
I would
music and like hip
never
hop and shit like that.
The most metal I listen to is AC/DC and some Metallica. That's about it.
I mean,
Hey,
you do. I mean,
Stranger
dude,
Things embrace Miss Alaga.
Yeah.
bro.
Hell
I
yeah.
mean, even with AC/DC, you have what, like, I think they have that one single, "If You Want Blood, You Got It," and it has like in the album cover, I think Angus Young with a guitar stabbed through him.
Yeah, Eddie, earlier when you mentioned Iron Maiden, I just looked at Kimberly, I mouthed, "This is music!" That's all I fucking did! I had to. Fuck. It's
Yeah.
really- we are in a Stranger Things slump right now for the past 3 weeks.
We are.
Oh,
I
Yeah.
ain't even.
Cannot say anything because Adam has not seen it.
no, not
I
yet.
ain't, I ain't even finished season 2, bro. I'm
Yeah.
not gonna lie. It takes me forever to finish anything.
Just get over season 2. Season 2 is the worst season out of all of them, but
Yeah.
season 3, you're
Honestly, the third one, I think the third one's like the best.
yes.
Oh,
I heard-
Or is it close?
I heard Eddie make that
yeah,
shit.
I am on the opposite spectrum. The third season was the worst one for me, and
Really?
I put off the fourth season for a long time. My students, I'm a high school teacher, by the way, folks. My students are telling me to they were excited. Like, yo, Mister, you gonna watch Stranger Things? I'm like, after that last season, so I put it off for a long time. But this season brought me back. I would say, Adam, skip whatever you've missed, and I would say just go to the 4th season. Just watch some recaps.
For season 2. All right, then, for sure.
Season 3 is fun.
In my opinion, season 3 is very.
With Stranger Things, the fucking again, the soundtrack goes back to like John Carpenter. I think is my favorite horror composer, just because of the simplicity of that shit. And Stranger Things just takes that. Yeah, the synth. It fucking embraces the synth.
That man is a synth.
Yeah, in aspects of horror, season 4 is the most terrifying.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Oh yeah.
There's so many like Easter eggs.
Not to mention Robert Englund is in the 4th season.
Yep.
Yeah, there's so many like Easter eggs that you can like and parallels that you can have in Stranger Things, like not just with like Robert Englund in it, but like with Nancy and Robin when they were going to interview him. That's like an Easter egg for Silence of the Lambs.
They took the best parts of 80s and 90s horror and put it all together into the season. It's
they did.
Great.
It's so good.
Ugh, love it.
Back to music. I still do think it's funny. Because like our list of music is like pretty different from your guys' list of music.
Especially mine. Mine is like I don't have a big list because like I'm still, as we're recording right at this moment, very new to the horror side of stuff. So I don't have a whole lot. I do have Mystery Skulls has a song.
Yeah.
Oh shit, bro. You just fucking brought back like memories of like peak college Tumblr days, bro.
Oh my god.
Mystery
Unneeded,
Skulls.
but sick.
Their
music
video Ghost, the official one, not the animated one. I'll get into the animated one here in a second.
The official one?
Yeah, the official one is an entire homage to fucking The Exorcist. And it's so cool.
Yeah.
It's completely in black and white, but it's purely an homage to The Exorcist. Now, the animated one, which everyone else knows of, is an ongoing series. And a new episode of this ongoing series gets posted every 2 years, meaning it comes out this year in October, which it's not October, it's recording right now, so I can say that.
I've been waiting for that. You have no, dude. I've been waiting.
I feel so bad because during last year when I was student teaching, before I became a full teacher, I was in a master's program, and there's this one big ass annoying stupid fucking test we have to take in California to get our license, all this shit. And I was up at like 2 a.m. with some of my classmates on Zoom going through this shit. And we're all we took a break, and I showed my friend Mystery Skulls, and she watched all the music videos. And she's like, "That's it?" I'm like, "For now." And she's like, "Damn it!
For now.
Why would you do this to them?" Bro.
Yeah, I don't know what song they're gonna do next, but I know in order it's Ghost, Out, and Hellbent right now.
Yeah.
I have the first album. Freaking Out is not on the first one.
Isn't there a fourth? I thought there's 4 videos out right now.
Is there 4? Hold on, let me check. I thought there was only 3, but I could be wrong. Let me check. Yeah, Mystery Skulls, as I said, is probably the only thing that I kept close to my heart after my last fucking relationship, because I love Mystery Skulls. They have some great ass music, dude.
Yeah, after Hellbent there's The Future, so it's 4.
Oh, really? I don't remember that. Hold on.
Extremely fast plugin. We forgot King Crimson also.
Oh,
fucking can't believe it. Dude, we are just fucking. Damn it.
Oh.
Fucking King Crimson as well.
I forgot there was another one. Jeez. I need to rewatch these. Holy fuck! The Future has 11 million views. Jesus.
The Future, I think, to me was the least memorable as of yet. But
that's probably why I
forgot. King Crimson, fucking Ghost have said themselves, like, yeah, we've been called a fucking Kim Crimson ripoff for forever.
Damn, hating ass fools.
But that's the vibe, right? Like King Crimson isn't Cannibal Corpse. It's not death metal. It's not growling. It's not all that shit. But it's still metal, just like Dio and Black Sabbath.
Oh, yeah, bro.
I'm looking at Mystery Skulls right now. I'm looking at the animated. The current viewpoint for the first animation is 45 million views.
God,
I want to look at the original music video because I know it has way, way more than the. Hold on.
I had no idea there was one. I thought that was the only music video for Ghost.
Nope. Nah. The official one. The official Ghost music video is 8 years old, 1.3 million views. It's really good. Oh, I thought it was Black and White. It's not. I lied. It's been a while since I've seen it.
I didn't realize how popular Mystery Skulls was until I watched Lucifer and recognized Hellbent in the fucking episode.
Oh my god, I ran to my mom's room. She was watching it and I heard Hellbent get played in the fucking club and I ran to her room. I got so excited. I was like, I didn't know they were going to have Mystery Skulls on such a popular TV show. Like, holy fucking shit. I lost my mind.
Same thing. My roommate was playing in the living room and I fucking ran out when I heard it.
it's like a summoning. Mystery Skulls? Hello? And then here recently, me, Kimberly, and a friend of mine, Alex, all went to this TCG shop where you can go buy cards or play D&D, whatever. And they played Mystery Skulls over the speaker, and I was like, yes! I was so excited. I don't remember which song it was, though. I just knew it was Mystery Skulls. But there was that, and then there's another song also called Ghost, but by Michael Jackson as well. And that music video, it's not even a music, it's like a mini movie. It's like half an hour long. And I don't even know how to describe it. It's been a while since I've seen it. But basically, Michael is playing a character who is just like known for scaring folks and like playing tricks and stuff. It's a really neat video. I like it a lot. I need to watch it again. I only know the song because of fucking Wii game, Michael Jackson The Experience. Dude, I went hard with that fucking game.
Kind of surprised. Kimberly, I thought you would have mentioned Ice Nine Kills and gone on a big old rant about him.
I am. In a bit. Not right
All
now.
right. All right.
That's the segue. That's the segue.
There we go.
Yeah. That's not the segue, though. But I do want to mention some other artists before I go on this long-ass tangent with Ice Nine Kills, though. Yeah, so there's an artist that me and Lexi both listen to.
Yeah.
So Nate Wants to Battle.
Mr. Noodle wants to caboodle.
So he has done like original songs for a lot of like horror video games, and the video games are Doki Doki Literature Club, Bendy and the Ink Machine, Five Nights at Freddy's, Poppy Playtime, and he's also done covers for The Nightmare Before Christmas, and he's done a cover of It's Terror Time Again from Scooby-Doo on Zombie Island.
Which is a more, it's a heavier version of it. It's not metal, but it's
a rock version of it.
It's a rock version of it. It's really good. Real fucking good.
I so desperately want to see that movie again. I haven't seen it in such a long time.
Oh my god, we rewatched it for the podcast, and
it holds up so well.
Holds up. It's so good.
So fucking well.
It used to scare the shit out of me.
Same.
I loved it. I did not care that it scared me a bit with like the zombie part, but it was so fucking good.
Underrated Scooby-Doo movie, Alien Invaders. Hello?
Yes. Alien Invaders.
Oh, yeah.
That one broke my heart, dude. That one was so sad.
I think
do you have any other artists?
I don't, because, I'm not really familiar with the whole horror thing. I did have to point out Mystery Skulls, because, firstly, the name is fucking badass. Secondly, like, just Ghost in general is so famous now. Not even, like, for the original music video, which the original music video is really, really cool and is a great, like, it's basically The Exorcist. Except, like, instead of the priest, and instead of, like, trying to cleanse the Reagan, it, like, at some point he's standing on her body like she's a fucking surfboard and she's levitating above the bed. I don't remember the context, but I have to watch it again for that. And then, of course, the animation series, which is basically Scooby-Doo. If you look at it, even to the point of they have a dog, but the dog's name is Mystery. And he's like some kind of mystical creature that we don't know the lore of yet. They haven't gotten even into that yet. But I definitely had to get into that. And I can't believe how much I made Eddie and Adam freak out about Mystery Skulls. I just said Mystery Skulls and they were losing their shit.
We don't just listen to metal.
Well, I
it's
figured
just-
that, but I wasn't
impactful to us.
expecting such a heavy reaction towards.
you literally threw my ass all the way back to like college on like Tumblr, and I'm like, holy shit!
Amazing.
That's all I saw.
Nice.
All I saw was like fan art and like theories, like
Oh, God.
threads upon threads upon threads.
God.
I
Such
got
a good
one quick tangent. I hope it's the last one for me. Hopefully a funny story. I just remembered one time. I think I've told you the story before, Adam. I think it was in the CD. It was either a CD you gave me, on this old MP3 player Johnny gave me. But one of you two, both of you introduced me to metal. Both of you gave me different little mixtapes for metal, and on one of those was my favorite Slayer song. And this is me like 5th grade walking around with this fucking CD player. It might have been you if it was a CD. I remember myself through music players. Right? I had walked around everywhere with a CD player in elementary school, and
Was it one of those little round ones?
hell yeah!
I gotta ask real
Same.
quick. I gotta ask real quick. Was it skip proof, or did you have to suffer with the fucking bunk and like it would short out?
It was not
Oh.
super proof, yeah.
Ah, whack.
But
The fucking worst.
I remember that my favorite Slayer song scared the fuck out of me.
I think I know what.
I'm walking down the street and jamming out to my favorite song, Dead Skin Mask.
I fucking knew it. Yeah.
Yeah.
It.
Towards the end of the song, there's this disembodied voice of this little girl that starts calling out to you, asking for help and shit. And I forgot it was in there, so I'm just walking down the fucking street. I hear this voice, and I jump, turn around, and I'm like, who the fuck is talking to me? I'm just in the middle of the street freaking out because of the
my
fucking
God.
song I was listening to.
Dude, okay, so you know how you fucking freaked out there? Imagine me when I first heard that record in the middle of the night, right? Like, I borrowed the CD from my Uncle Tony, and I remember I threw that shit on, and I was listening to it, and I just hear, and I'm like, I got chills. I'm like, what the fuck? Who's there? Who's in the room? What?
Jeez.
Dead Skin Mask by Slayer off of the Seasons in the Abyss, right?
Yeah.
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 That song, that voice at the end, oh my god. It's my favorite song. I love that song so much. That one time scared the fuck out of me.
Real quick plug-in for the band Death that you didn't mention, which I thought you would, to be honest, because you were
mentioned
like
them.
a little Death. Oh, did we?
You mentioned Death earlier when talking about album covers.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, there you go. There you go. Yeah, you're right. Shout out to the first two records, tracks Zombie Ritual and Leprosy from their second record are also pretty sick. Before they went into other types of horror, if you will, horrors of the self, of the soul, and yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's it for me.
I do have some other bands that I want to mention.
Let's go.
So this other band is called The Nearly Deads, and their music video for their song "Never Look Back" is a zombie apocalypse music video, and they also have a song called "Frequencies" that is based off of Stranger Things, and I think that was put out when season 2 had just premiered.
Damn.
Yeah, so they did a song. I think it's basically based off of Elle trying to connect with a mic.
Aw.
Yeah.
Stop. My heart.
Yeah. And then there's also the band Get Scared, and their whole like aesthetic is pretty spooky enough. But their song for Sarcasm is also zombie central, and I think that's like really, really cool. There was another band, I think, or like artists in general that I wanted to cover.
Why do you think of that? I remembered one more.
Mhm.
I know Adam mentioned hip hop earlier, and I've been struggling to think of any hip hop acts that I can remember that implement horror into their stuff a lot. But there's one group I'm not sure if it's a group or if it's just one artist, but out of Jersey. There's this their Wikipedia page says it's a punk rap group, but they incorporate a bunch of horror, dark, gothic elements into their style and sound, and they're literally called Horror, but it's spelled HO9909. All the R's are nines. They're a trip. It's yeah, I think it's fun, but a lot of people aren't super. They like to have one or the other, not rap, not punk. I mean, either just rap or just punk, not together. So
Yeah.
definitely not for everybody, but they're another really cool one that incorporates a lot of horror elements into their sound and aesthetic.
Okay, so I do want to talk about Ice Nine Kills because I cannot find the other artist that I want to talk about for the life of me. So Ice Nine Kills has like a parody song of Stacy's mom, and
Oh my god.
yeah,
What?
it's called Jason's Mom.
Oh,
They have a parody song called Jason's
Wow.
Mom, and it's based off of Friday the 13th.
okay.
What does fucking Miss Voorhees have it going on, or
Yeah,
I love that. I love that.
it's so good. Like I cannot stop laughing every time I hear it. But then they also have their 2000, I think 18, or let me double check because I don't want to like. It's their album Every Book, and that one is based off of a lot of literature. It's their 2015 album, and some of the songs that they have are Nature of the Beast, which is based off of Animal Farm. They have Communion of the Curse, which is The Exorcist. Bloodbath and Beyond, which is Dracula. Me, Myself, and Hyde is Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. And Hell in the Hallways is based off of Carrie. They also have like a bunch of other songs that are not really horror literature. It's they have some songs based off of like Alice in Wonderland, and they have a song based off of Romeo and Juliet. So I think that was like really cool.
One of these things is not like the other.
Definitely not. But it wasn't until like they gained a lot of popularity with their 2018 album and their 2021 album, The Silver Scream, and Welcome to Horror with the Silver Scream Part 2. And that got them into a lot of like their mainstream and their main like aesthetic wise, how they look as a band. The Silver Scream contains a lot of songs based off of well-known horror movies. So this is like the track list, which is The American Nightmare, which is based off of A Nightmare on Elm Street. Thank God It's Friday is based off of Friday the 13th. Stabbing in the Dark, which is based off of Halloween. And I love this like music video in particular because Halloween is like one of my favorite franchises, and it's one of the ones that like bonds me and my mom a lot. And I remember when this music video premiered, like I had to show her, even though I knew she wasn't really gonna like the music. I like had to show her the video. And she got like super excited anyway. But I like the video and their styles of how they do it, because there's like this whole concept throughout the whole entire album. Through the first one, like you just see Spencer, the vocalist, in the music videos. He is like going to therapy, and trying to get like medication for it. When all these like every time they stop to do like a show, there's something that happens, like someone gets killed basically, and it all pinpoints back to Spencer, and his like therapist is starting to see the like correlations with everything. And I really like that type of storyline that they have going on for the first one. With like each music video, they also have the song Savages, that is based off of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. They have the Jig Is Up, which is based off of Saw. They did a song about The Crow, which is a grave mistake. Rocking the Boat is about Jaws. And they do like a really, really good They have like little snippets of the Jaws theme towards, I think, like the bridge of the song, and I like that a lot. They have "Enjoy Your Sleigh," which is based off of The Shining. "Freak Flag," which is based off of The Devil's Rejects. "The World in My Hands" is based off of Edward Scissorhands. "Love Bites" is about the American Werewolf in London. And then "It Is the End" is based off of It. And this is a bonus track that they have for their final cut of the album, and it's "Your Number's Up," and that is based off of Scream. So also I like about their first album. Their second album is another concept album that they have that's continuing from the first one. And right now their second album is basically who's the hitchhiker in Texas Chainsaw Massacre? The actor's name? Bill Moseley? Is that his name? Right?
Sounds about right. Bill Moseley's been in a lot of shit.
Yeah, he's been in a lot of stuff in horror. But they have him playing like a detective in this whole entire series, and he's trying to pinpoint everything that.
Are you talking about the old one? By the way, the old hitchhiker?
Yes.
Edwin Neal.
Oh, Edwin Neal. No, wait, who am I talking about? Fuck. Is it the old one? No, I don't think it is. No! Fuck. It is a Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie, but I messed up. It's the second one. He plays Chop Top.
There we go. Yeah.
Yeah. Whoops. Idoki. You got it.
There you go. Continue.
Yeah. So the actor who plays Chop Top, he also just like doesn't bring in like Spencer is very integrated into like the horror community because of like his band and everything and his love of like horror in general. So he doesn't just bring in like actors that are well known into these music videos. He also brings in other people that he knows that are in the horror community itself. Like they brought in Chelsea and James from Dead Meat, and they cover like a lot of YouTube channel and their podcast. They're more known for like their kill counts and stuff like that. So they have them on their music videos as detectives. And through this whole entire thing, I really like the first song, which is the title song, "Welcome to Horrorwood." It's in like homage to Hollywood and like horror in the industry.
You just reminded me of another band right now. Fuck. I'm finally getting over my whole, sticking my nose in the air about metal and stuff. Ice Nine Kills was never a band I really wanted to check out, but after hearing all this shit, I'm gonna check them out some more. What you reminded me of right now, Adam, brace yourself. You reminded me of the Murder Dolls.
Yeah, that's actually a band I was gonna bring up randomly as like more little plugins that I totally forgot that we should have named like since the very beginning.
Yeah, they do that shit a lot. R.I.P. Joy Jordison.
Yeah,
but they have songs like that too, where they reference old school horror movies, right? Like Dead in Hollywood. The lyrics are super fucking corny and straight up mention Frankenstein. Leatherface mentions Dracula. Very corny lyrics, but they reminded me straight up of Murder Dolls right now from what you were explaining.
Yeah, dude. Honestly, Ice Nine Kills is a really badass band as far as it comes to like I've had their album like on repeat, the latest one, for a good while, because the songwriting is fucking phenomenal. It's catchy, it's heavy as hell, and sometimes it can be very technical. And what I love about the guitarist and the music, specifically, is that he fucking uses the guitar just like Cannibal Corpse, where he plays certain phrases or passages or riffs or whatever to mimic whatever is going on in the theme of the song. Same as Spencer, he'll use his vocals to, for fuck's sake, dude. I remember they actually in the middle of that song that references an American Psycho.
Hit scared.
Yeah, hip to be square, dude. They actually they actually jump into a in the middle of a fucking song, dude. They jump into a section where they play hip to be square. Like they cover it in the middle of right of the song to mimic that scene, and then go straight for a nasty, disgusting breakdown, dude. It's so sick.
Oh yeah, they said that they had a hard time trying to get like an agreement so they can cover it for their song.
I have never associated Huey Lewis in the News with horror. Holy shit! I have to listen to this.
So what they also do to tie it in that's super sick is so you know how in the movie Christian Bale goes on like this big old monologue about Huey Lewis in the News? Well, it's so funny because they start roasting Spencer starts roasting himself and the band as if he's Christian Bale giving this little speech about the band Ice Nine Kills.
Yeah, he's like, "Do you like Ice Nine Kills?" And oh my god, they have the fucking singer for Papa Roach in there.
Yeah. That's so funny, dude.
Wait,
yeah.
In the fucking he sings in there, but in the music video, you see Jacoby Shaddix fucking sitting on the seat, being the character. What is it? What's his name? The one who gets the fucking seats at like Doris or whatever. Little. Yeah. He's sitting there and he gets axed to death, dude.
Oh my god. Okay. Okay.
It makes sense. Jacoby has mentioned on the side that like he loves working with like younger new artists.
It's so good. Another thing that I really like is when they integrate like again like music that is from the movie that's like well known. Like I want to go back to the first one where for Halloween it's not like just the score of Halloween that's in the song, but they also have that little the little thing for Mr. Sandman. They have it playing in there too. And that's one little detail that I really liked about it. I liked it a lot. It's one of the things that I will just like mouth out to whenever I listen to it. The little like bum 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 bum.
God, you just reminded me. For anybody that has a fear of clowns, something you might want to check out. Our cousin Johnny showed me this. There's I wouldn't say beautiful folks that don't like metal, but there's a cover of Mr. Sandman that I love by Blind Guardian. And the music video is of a kid having a nightmare with huge fucking clowns popping out of boxes in front of him. So if you're afraid of clowns, this is a music video you might not want to check out. But yeah, awesome, cool, sort of scary rendition of Mr. Sandman.
There's on a side note, I remember now, tying in metal and like horror, music and horror. Possessed have a song called The Exorcist, actually, where in the beginning it actually plays the theme for The Exorcist. And a big one is also Deicide with the song Dead by Dawn, where it is about the Evil Dead. And the vocalist actually, I don't know if it's someone else too or just him, but they actually make it so that it sounds like multiple voices growling, so it sounds like demons, just like in the Evil Dead. And it's pretty sick because they have that phrase, Dead by Dawn throughout the whole fucking thing, and that's what it's about. So there's that.
The Exorcist song came up on one of my playlists recently, and it scared the hell out of me because I didn't realize. I thought it was a straight up cover of the movie song.
Oh, nah.
Amazing. I do want to go back to Ink. There's like a lot of things that I really like and want to talk about with this band. There's another thing where I was like super excited because I had never heard any other band like do a song based off of like a video game that I really, really love. And I remember I was telling Adam like, hey dude, like Ice Nine Kills are gonna do a song for Resident Evil.
Oh dude, that's just a banger.
Yeah, and I remember like the day the music video came out, I sent it to you and I was like, dude, there's so many things that like you can pinpoint in the music video.
For the show or for one of the movies?
for the movies. Like for the it's a mixture of the movies and like the game in general.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you meant they wrote it for one of the movies that came out.
Oh
No. It's based off of it. Like
Got you.
Yeah, it's based off the property in general. Like in the thing in the video, it's someone waking up on one of like the medical beds, like in the medical chair, and what's her name? Ash Costello from New Year's Day, like is in that music video because she plays a zombie in there. And Spencer's, I think it's his girlfriend who is like basically the main protagonist of this whole entire thing. You can see like the parallels where like in the movies it's like Alice waking up in that like unknown medical room, and when Nadia, she goes through the whole like facility, it's this whole thing like from the very first movie when they're going into like the hive, and she encounters like zombies that are from like Resident Evil 4. Like you get the villagers and the chainsaw dude that's in there. And I still think that the poster that you see for like a glimpse is Alice. I do think that's her. But throughout this like the video like story thing that they're telling for this whole album is Bill Moseley is trying to pin these murders that are happening or that are happening to Spencer's like fiance in this situation on him, because he's the one that's like always in at the scene, or it's always pointing back to him, because they get these like music videos, and each of these music videos she dies because of him or like by him. And I think that's really like a fun concept of it. It's like a murder mystery thing where they're trying to solve this whole entire case, but they can't really pinpoint it on him because he's like always at a show, and it's never like he's never really there. And then there's the song Funeral Derangements that's based off of Pet Sematary. And for the music video, I thought that was really cool that they actually brought in the actor who played Gage, like in the very first one, in the original Pet Sematary. He plays the truck driver in the music video, and he said that it felt like so surreal actually playing this. And I think they had like in the truck next to him was, I think, 2 books from Stephen King, which was, I think, Salem's Lot, and it was Pet Sematary that he had next to him while he was driving. And we covered like American Psycho, which I thought that was really good. What's the other? Oh, I wanted to talk about Psycho. Their song The Shower Scene. I thought it was song like out of my head.
That's just a banger too, bro.
It's called The Shower Scene?
Yeah, it's called The Shower Scene.
That's just a banger.
I can't get the song out of my head because it's I think it's because like I relate to it personally on like different levels with like my parent, but that's like not deranged levels like this. But I really like it that they also do incorporate the infamous like score that they have that Alfred Hitchcock had in basically the shower scene. Like I really like that. That shit was like so good. And it actually came up today too when I was in the shower. So whenever it comes up when I do shower, I think that's like one of the scariest things.
She's crazy.
They have another song that's based off of My Bloody Valentine, and that's Take Your Pick. And this shit, everyone says like this one goes harder than Merry Xmas, which is on the previous album, and that one's based off of Silent Night, Deadly Night. But honestly, in my opinion, I think Merry Xmas goes harder than Take Your Pick.
I gotta let Eddie know Corpse Grinder is featured on Take Your Pick.
Yes.
What?
Corpse Grinder comes out. Yeah, dude, he fucking loves this shit. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
As soon as I remember telling that dude, I was on a fucking Uber heading to like heading to the in-laws house, right? And I'm hearing the song and I immediately like jolt and I'm like, I know this motherfucker's voice anywhere. That's motherfucking Corpse Grinder. And I immediately messaged Kimberly, Corpse Grinder is on Take Your Pick.
Yeah.
Oh shit, I'm just fucking tripping out. And but yeah, just to give you a little bit more of a push towards checking them out.
That pushes it made, dude. I'm gonna check them out for sure.
Yeah, like I know Ink is not like for everybody, but like it's definitely pretty like a good band if you want to check out if you like horror and if you like other artists, because surprisingly they really do love to collaborate with other artists.
Yeah, they have quite a number of fucking people that they have. I know for the box.
Yeah, the box is based off of Hellraiser.
Yeah, you got fucking you got some of the songwriters in there. One of them came out for the Muppets album, which is very funny. Brendan Saylor. I'm mispronouncing that. So I found that to be very interesting, actually.
That's really cool, honestly.
Yeah.
Honestly, I think one that I wasn't expecting, but it was like a good pick was Fly, which is basically based off The Fly.
That's a hard song to play.
This is one of the songs that I really, really love. And I haven't even seen The Fly in years. Like, it's been a good chunk of years that I haven't seen The Fly. But goddamn, this song gets me. I think it's always like the last three in this album that really, really, really hook me. And it's Worst Vacation. And that's based off of Hostel. Hostel isn't a movie that I enjoy. It's not great. But that's also the same. I could say the same thing with like Cabin Fever with their song A Rash Decision. Like, that's also another song that I really like. But I can't believe they have like two fucking Eli Roth music based off of these movies. But Worst Vacation is one of my favorites.
I wanna bring up that I just realized, I was like, why does this sound familiar? And I realized there's that post-hardcore Teeny Weenie band. Buddy Nielsen comes out on The Fly, and he was a vocalist for Census Fail.
Yeah.
Oh shit. Damn, that is all.
I remember this next one. I got so excited to show Junior. It's Ex Mortis, and that is based off of Evil Dead.
Yeah.
I remember I was so excited. He got so excited when he heard it too. He really liked it. I like it because like I like that type of music, honestly, mixed with more heavier like rock in it. And then the last one that they have for this album is Farewell to Flesh, which is based off of Candyman. And this one was a really, really beautiful song to end off on with this album. I like that it's a lot of like atmosphere, because when this song starts, you can hear like bees going off in your earphones or like headphones, and that shit scared the shit out of me
Fuck
when
that,
I first
dude.
heard it.
ASMR.
It scared the shit out of me.
I'd not like to do any ASMR bees, thank you.
No, thank you. But that also brings me back to the first album for It Is the End, which is based off of it. In the beginning, you hear like rainfall and like slowly start to fade in like carnival music. I remember the first time I heard that, I was like, what the fuck? Where is that coming from? And I had to realize like it was fucking Spotify playing it. But also like this band just doesn't do this like these music things. They're also like going to conventions and like horror conventions, and they're meeting like all these people. They get to meet their fans that's besides going to like concert meet and greets and stuff like that. And they have also recently organized their own horror convention for Salem, Massachusetts, I think. I don't think it's in Salem. I think it's like in Denver.
Colorado?
But huh?
Denver, Colorado?
Go Denver.
I think. I have to like double check that. But they have
Want to interject that their Finn McKenty also kind of mentioned that their merchandise, they hit the nail on the head with the fucking merchandising, dude.
their merchandise is so good. They have this thing where it's Nightmare on the 9th. And they also have, and Spencer also has like this other clothing line called Cleaver Clothing. And it's all like horror based. It's their merchandise is really, really fucking cool.
It's exactly what the fans like and want, dude. I mean, like you said, it just hits the nail on the fucking head for a lot of the horror. I mean, what's one thing that he mentions that horror fans love and metal fans love? Merchandise. Any sort of physical memorabilia is right up their alley. So bam, that shit goes as soon as it drops, dude.
Yeah, that was Goddess.
Yeah, like when they had their albums like releasing for both of them, when they did Nightmare on the 9th, they did merchandise based off of like whatever song they wanted from the album.
They go fast, bro.
I fucking remember when they did Resident Evil, I really wanted the one that had the glow in the dark zombie because it looked like the very first zombie that you encounter in the mansion.
Terrifying ass. Fuck that zombie.
And I remember I wanted the umbrella because it looked like the actual like umbrella logo, and I was like, I really want this. Could not afford it. Fucking expensive. But it would have been fucking worth it. I mean the only merch that I have is the one that Adam and Diane got me for, I think it was like my birthday or Christmas.
Was it the Saw one?
Yeah, the Saw one where it has Billy the Puppet on it.
Yeah. I forgot he's got a name, Billy.
Yeah. It's Billy the Puppet.
It's always somebody, really.
I know, right? Oh yeah, they on tour like Motionless in White and Black Veil Brides. And right now, I think they're gonna go on like a Mexico tour with, again, I think with Motionless in White, Bring Me the Horizon, and Black Veil Brides.
Now, those are names I haven't heard of brought back onto a tour bill for a long time. Altogether, holy shit.
Yeah.
It literally feels like 2012.
Okay. So they have a horror convention that's called Silver Scream Con, and that's going to be from August 26th to 28th this year in Danvers, Massachusetts. So they have like special guests that are going. They have the dude who played Hellraiser, Doug Bradley. He's going to guest. They also have they have Lucinda Jenny from Three from Hell, Thinner, and Practical Magic. They are also going to have Douglas Tate from Halloween Kills and Freddy vs. Jason. Dave Sheridan from Scary Movie and Devil's Rejects. Who else? I think also it's who else? They're gonna have Miko Hughes, the dude who played the little kid in Pet Sematary. He was also in Wes Craven's New Nightmare. They are also having Ricky Dean Logan and Tom Arnold from Freddy's Dead, The Final Nightmare. That's going to be a little reunion, which I think that's really fucking cool. They're also going to have Bill Moseley there. He's from The Devil Rejects, Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2, as we know.
And Repo.
Oh yeah, that too. God, Repo is a fucking great musical movie. I have that in our schedule, so we are definitely gonna watch it one of these days.
I mean, it's a horror musical.
Yeah, it's a horror opera.
That's, oh man. I remember seeing Repo and then watching the trailer for that other non-musical Repo movie. I was like, wait, isn't that musical? What the fuck? How are they? You remember the other Repo movie? I think was it just called Repo Man or some shit? It's basically the same plot, but not a musical.
No, I've never heard of that.
Repo Man 2010. Jude Law's main character. Corporation releases out fucking body parts, and when they can't pay, these men go and repossess them.
That sounds kind of lame, though. I'd rather watch the musical one.
It's definitely less campy and no musical and less fucking like monstrous makeup and all that shit. It's much more a straightforward sci-fi movie.
Oh,
And-
gross. Yeah, I'd rather watch the musical.
And I was like, how did they get away with it? It's the same fucking plot, but I honestly I can barely remember the songs from Repo. I just remember it being like, this is very, very Rocky Horror-ish.
Yeah. Also, the same people who did Repo are the same people who also created the Devil's Carnival.
That's what I was trying to remember right now. Yeah. I have not seen that one yet. I think I've seen parts of it.
I like it. I've seen the first one. I haven't seen the sequel to it. I don't know if I like that one, but I have seen the Devil's Carnival. I've seen the first one, and that one's really, really good. Like, honestly, I think if you do like Repo, you'll like the Devil's Carnival. Oh shit! I forgot about this. They're also having Felissa Rose as a guest, and she played Angela in Sleepaway Camp. Yeah, like, they're having a lot of guests for this con that's gonna take place, and I wish I could go, but goddamn, that's too expensive.
You're on that coast already.
It's too expensive. I don't have that kind of money. I didn't even have that kind of money when I lived in LA.
Oh god.
That's all I got, honestly.
One thing I was gonna mention a little earlier.
Oh, okay, yeah. Go for it.
When y'all brought up fucking Huey Lewis. Actually, before that, Kim, if you want to see another fun Michael Myers reference, like I said, the Ghost did the outro song, the credit songs for Halloween Kills.
Mhm.
The music video for that song, Michael Myers makes like some little cameos in it, some clips and shit. So that's Hunter's Moon by Ghost.
Oh my god.
But when y'all mentioned Huey Lewis, it reminded me of how one thing I love is when horror movies attach, like, the dread you get from the movie gets attached to a song that's like not a horror or scary or metal song. So like Huey Lewis and Psycho. And I was thinking of I forgot what the song's called, but the one from Jeepers Creepers. It's just called Jeepers Creepers, the song?
I think so, yeah.
Where'd you get those peepers?
Yeah.
Like, fuck, when I hear that song, I love the song. Fun song. But fuck, I get that kind of like chill down my spine. And then with...
Yeah, because it's like associated with that movie.
Mm-hmm. And with Stranger Things now, too, with Dream a Little Dream of Me.
Yeah. Oh, man.
It's like when fun, non-scary songs get some horror attached to them, I'm happy and bummed.
At the same time, yeah. I get it. So the last question that I do have is, if these artists like helped us with our own creativity while listening to these specific songs or albums or seeing like the merch they put out, have they influenced like what we do creatively, like music, writing, and anything?
Yeah. So real quick, I guess I'll start off. I love how musicians and composers are able to take visual art, like I mentioned earlier, and transform it into a new sonic experience. You know, and I also appreciate how much detail that composers take when immersing the audience into the story, like we talked about video game composers and whatnot, like right with Eternal Darkness, Dead Space. But specifically with all of that, I am inspired as a musician. And a lot of it has to do with how each artist and composer has their own style, philosophy, and method to writing for or about horror. Like, I want to be able to seek my own personal style in how sounds can make a person feel the dread, the disgust, anxiety, and the horror, and the spooks for a medium it's being attached to. You know, and aside from that, a lot of old school death metal has fantastical cosmic like horror imagery, which brings about a certain melody, riff, and or like other artistic ideas in my head and that would be where it would inspire me.
I think on a similar vein to that, um, I don't know how much of it was the horror itself, but definitely just the connection between metal brought me to horror, right? Like it was metal that I got into early on. Anything metal had to do with, I sort of threw myself at too. So if metal didn't have a connotation with horror, I don't know how quickly I would have gone to horror. But the misanthropy that came with a lot of horror was a big influence to me when I was younger. When I wrote stuff as a teenager, a lot of it was very misanthropic and very nihilistic. And I think today, I haven't written or really composed music in a long time, but the way I approach, if I were to start right now, my approach would very much be sort of in reaction to how I treated this stuff. Looking towards like my lesson plans with my students and stuff, like a lot of what I look towards now is more hopeful shit. And I think one of the things I like about some horror is kind of the tropiness of it. You know, you kind of have a feeling who's going to survive and why, or when they do beat the villains, it's like, oh, that's a satisfying feeling. Like the hope you can kind of pull from it is what I think I get influenced a lot from. Specifically talking like, I think to get more specific with it, like I mentioned earlier, like I fuck with Satanism. Like with Ghost, their Satanism, Twin Temple, and their form of Satanism, a lot of that form of Satanism has to deal with independence and casting off blind authority, and that has to deal a lot with that form of independence deals a lot with overcoming adversity and overcoming shit other people are throwing at you, and a lot of horror stems from those injustices, right? Like a lot of horror is in reference to patriarchal shit. The virgin survives, right? Because sex means you are oh my god, what's the word I'm looking for? Yeah, want give me a hand. What's the word I'm looking for?
Pure.
Impure, exactly, right? A lot of horror deals with some of the real evils in the world, and I guess now I really am sort of just vibing with the hopefulness of it, that we can cast out these evils can be defeated, right? And at the moment, Satanism is that thing for me. Or I wouldn't call myself a Satanist, but just the way people use aesthetics of Satanism to represent this independence and this casting off of these injustices. That's sort of how it's inspired me now today.
I prefer to be called a Satanist rather than a Christian, that's for sure. At this point in time.
I love, Eddie, how you gave this big beautiful speech to say I am the last fucking survivor in the movie. That is who I am.
Is that what you got from that?
No, I get it, but it essentially towards the end, I just kind of thought, I'm like, are you trying to tell me that you'd be the last survivor?
I don't think I would be a last survivor.
Okay, I'll go next. I'd say for sure, as someone who does art, I've actually recently just gotten back into it because I had art for 2.5 years. Because art block is very difficult to get over, especially now. It's not even horror song related. It's just like horror media related. Like again, Stranger Things has really like brought me back into my art style, and like I can't listen to songs with lyrics while I draw, because then I cannot concentrate for the life of me. I have to listen to a podcast or just like music from a game that has no wording or anything like that. But like it's definitely brought me back into wanting to draw more and wanting to explore new styles. Like, I would like to try and draw a Demogorgon, or like recently I'm still working on it. I'm still drawing Eddie from the 4th season, and it's pretty nice to finally be able to have at least a little bit of inspiration. The motivation, though, to actually start up my computer is a different story. Because holy crap, my computer sucks.
Motivation is the biggest hurdle.
You're like, do I want to sit a few hours? Do I want to sit here for a few hours and like draw, or would I rather do something else?
So that's why I like. Sorry about that. Continue.
No, you're good.
I was going to say real quick. That's why I like Jason. No think, just go, just do it.
No thought, head empty.
Continue though. Sorry about that.
But I've lost my mind. But but yeah, motivation definitely a big hurdle. But I'm very happy to be back in drawing. I can't wait to draw more with some horror stuff.
Hell yeah. So horror is like a big, like huge inspiration for me as a writer. Like, yeah, I do write like fan fiction online for people to read. And my biggest and most like popular things that I've written are things based off of like a few Ice Nine Kills songs and horror in general. Like, I have a Scream series going on that people are really enjoying. And when I wrote something like a story based off of Psycho, and I wrote that same twist that it has in the movie, people were messaging me like, I haven't seen Psycho in years, or I haven't seen Psycho ever, and like this story makes me like want to watch it, or like they didn't see that twist coming at the end, that they loved it and it influenced them to go watch like the movie. And that's what like I want from people. Like, I want them, like, I want to push them into getting into horror, like, even if they haven't really been into horror, but they like how I write, because my writing is like a fucking YA novelist, and apparently people like that.
Yes, they do. I can vouch. I edit for you.
But like a lot of my stuff stems from horror, and horror is like a huge influence on my writing, because it gives me like the hugest motivation. Like, I find comfort in writing for horror. Not because like I like writing scary things, but because I like going to the end and seeing if I can develop more characters, and if I can make them more likable, and if I can make them stay alive, or at least give people like hope at the end of the chapter, or like the end of the series, because of these characters that they fell in love with through this journey. Like, I do have stuff that's like based off of horror movies, but I have original stuff. Like, I have this short story of this woman who was hearing stuff from her living room, and she finds that it's her violin that she hasn't touched in years, because she fell out of music. And once she was able to like play again, it felt like her fingers were moving on their own, until she realizes like she's slicing off her own fingertips with the strings of the violin, and all she can hear is like the audience clapping for her, cheering for her, and she doesn't feel any pain anymore, until she finds herself surrounded in like black mist, and she hears that voice in her head saying that she'll be immortalized in her music and in her passion for what she used to love. And that's how I ended that. Like, horror has a huge place in my heart, no matter whether like I'm watching it or writing about it. It's just a huge like motivation for me, no matter what. there's always like a hint of horror in anything that I write, even though the majority of the stuff that I write is very wholesome. a lot of the characters that I write for aren't wholesome. They're not supposed to be, but I do make them wholesome. And that's why like I love horror, and that's why I think it influences me a lot. Like I don't really want to have these characters set in their, I guess, like canon personalities. Like I want to give them other things that people can enjoy. Like I currently am starting to write for Scream, for like the first one, and like dabble in some of that, trying to write for the characters in general. So I think that's like where I am with horror. Like I don't just love the genre, love the music or the movies. It's like something that I've had with my whole life, and something that I will always, it'll be like my second home, if that makes any sense. It's like my second fallback that I will always go to whenever I need like comfort. So yeah, that's what I have.
It's beautiful finding comfort in the, I guess what a lot of folks would consider the obscene or the grotesque.
Grotesque was exactly the word I was thinking.
Yeah. Like we're gonna talk about this like on our episode that we're gonna have on Halloween Day, and it's just going more in depth like why we love horror. So that's another thing that I will bring up that day whenever we record that.
That's gonna be fun.
Yeah, it's gonna be a lot of fun because I have a lot of questions for you guys that are gonna be on the episode.
I guess the last thing I can say or add is since this is an episode about sound and music in horror, the best, I think, I don't know if I want to say the best, but the most practical piece of advice about horror I ever heard was from Eli Roth, where he said, if you are scared while watching a scary movie, do not cover your eyes. You should cover your ears, because that is where the fear is coming from mostly.
Yeah.
I want to throw out one thing before before ending it for sure. This one goes out to George because I know he'll kill me if I don't say it. I want to throw out 9 Inch Nails for existential dread and horror. That's it.
Oh my god. That's it?
That's it.
Is it for both of you?
Yeah.
Yep.
All right.
Oh, they're going to cat. Well, little spooks, that's going to be it for us today.
Join us tomorrow as we discuss nightmares. We are going to dive into what really terrifies us and maybe find out what you guys are afraid of.
God, I can't wait to relive my sleeping trauma.
Oh, yeah.
That's going to be great. Don't forget to rate us and tap the bell icon on Spotify so you don't miss an episode. We update weekly, but for this week of Halloween, we are posting an episode every single day.
Yes.
But we are at Guarded Demons on Twitter. We're also on Anchor, YouTube, and Instagram at Guarded by Demons. We also have an email, guardeddemonpod@gmail.com, if you want to write in and suggest some topics, movies, or games that we play in the podcast. Also, tell us how we did. Be nice about it. I'm sensitive. I will cry if you are not nice.
Again, she has full access to the email.
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
You have anything you want to plug?
Oh, well, I am a music composer and educator, and if you would like to see my stuff, you can find it at AI Gomez Guitar on Bandcamp, and you can find me on Instagram at AI Gomez Guitar as well. That is it.
Cool. Eddie, do you have anything to plug in?
Y'all got, if y'all got any ideas or any donations for Halloween classroom decorations, y'all can find me at Instagram at Maestro Metalero.
Alright, guys. Once again, I'm Kimberly, and if you want to follow me on my personal accounts, I am the Lesbian Spook on Twitter, and I am Spooky Scary Lesbian on Twitch and Tumblr, where I play some horror games on Twitch. Also, if you are watching or listening to this on YouTube, all the links that we mentioned will be in the description. And if you enjoyed today's episode, give the video a like and consider subscribing to us.
Yeah. And I'm Lexi. If you want to follow me on Twitch, it's at SemiProEagle, where I play a variety of games. I do draw from time to time. Recently, as we're recording, I've been playing the game Stray, and that's been good fun. If you like cats and kind of cyberpunky future stuff, come check that out sometime. Even though it's not going to be up on my Twitch anymore by the time this episode comes out.
Oh my god. Alright. Stay spooky.
Hi guys, it's Kimberly. I wanted to come back here and say that my cousin Eddie made a playlist with all the artists and bands that we mentioned in this episode. We thought it would be a good idea that you can listen to these amazing people that we talked about for like almost 3 hours on this podcast. So we will link it in the description on both the YouTube video and on Spotify itself. We will also link it in our socials, personal and on the podcast. So yeah, go check it out and go listen to it and go support some really great artists. Stay spooky and have a great October season.